Welcome back, everyone. It's almost time for White Rabbit Gaming to take on Bravado. It's a pretty interesting matchup. These sides do have quite a bit of a history as far as MGOs goes, but I'm more interested to know what these particular players have going for them. Gentlemen, welcome back to the panel. Let's discuss the rivalry between White Rabbit Gaming and Bravado, specifically in this Dota scene.
Well, I mean, most of it comes from last year, actually. It started in late 2015, but unfortunately not the same Bravado team that we saw last year. The guys that we currently see were on Energy and then XD last year. Still did very, very well when they did appear. Unfortunately, they weren't in the big league last year, so we didn't see much of them against White Rabbit. When they did appear, did quite a bit of work. It did seem as though they were, if not top 3, then certainly top 4 in the country as a squad. Haven't been the same this year, though. A couple of role swaps seems to have stuffed around with the synergy of the team guys moving to different positions. Really hasn't worked out as well as they thought it might. And look, the rivalry between BVD and Energy seems to, sorry, BVD and White Rabbit. The orgs obviously were very, at each other's throats last year type thing, certainly in game. I don't know if it's going to be the same level of rivalry today, but certainly I think BVD wants to prove a little bit. They've looked shaky of late. We do know that the team that they have is certainly capable of doing damage and maybe even capable of doing damage against White Rabbit Gaming, but we haven't seen it yet this year.
I think the rivalry is really good now because last year, 2016 was basically the story of WRG trying to prove that they are the best team and usually falling short to Bravado for the majority of the last year. And they kept running up and up against this brick wall. And eventually they broke it. However, because of the last tournament, the last Mega8, Bravado still won that just before they sort of retired as a team. So, so it feels like it feels like at this point, WRG, although they know they're the best, right, you still have to consistently prove it because they only beat Bravado definitively once. So now I think kind of the bar for them has been set a little bit higher. They have to beat everybody here, even more so than Bravado was beating everybody back when they were the best, to prove definitively that even though Bravado might not be around, we still have the capability. Even if they were here, it wouldn't matter. We would be the best, number one. And I think that's what this particular game is going to be. WRG pulling no punches from the get-go, saying that this organization, we know what you players are capable of. Sure, you're a different team, but still, us at WRG want to be able to prove definitively that they are better than BVD. And even the BVD players, when they used to be the old Energy, they themselves said that when they went over into Bravado, it was sort of like an achievement unlocked thing. Like, you're part of Bravado Gaming now. This is the MGO that's set the standard for what SA Dota is supposed to be. And WRG, even though they know they're going up against a different team, the Bravado standard is still in everyone's head in some fashion. And they have to prove definitively that they've gone past that.
Yeah, you're saying this, but then the Bravado roster themselves, I mean, that must be a bit of a hard task now because they're, look, we wouldn't want to say that they're letting down their brand, but they're certainly not achieving the same results of the previous incarnation of the side.
I mean, if I know Bravado and the management, Andreas, I mean, he obviously wants his organization to be all about excellence, and achieve being the best. So obviously he has that mentality. He wants players in his organization that want to be the best. And I mean, these players, Energy, well, they are ex-Energy players, Bravado players on RDK and them, and on WG, they've been around forever. Like these two teams, they have been around for like since the beginning of competitive Dota in South Africa, right? So like it's not like they're new, and I don't think there's necessarily a rivalry between the players. More like, hey, we've played each other like 100 times. Let's play each other again. Obviously WG being the stronger team here, and Bravado looking shaky against Sinister 5. They lost the game, but I'm not sure if that's Sinister 5 actually just being good than Bravado being shaky. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Bravado can actually just prove themselves a little bit, because we haven't really seen them much in the scene, because of all the.
Yeah, they didn't make it. They didn't make it to last week either. So it is an issue. We don't really know what BVD is going to be looking like at the moment. We know they've looked shaky online. Obviously, this is online, but they've swapped back to their old roles. Is it going to re-energize the team? Didn't look like it yesterday. It could be today.
I'm curious to talk in particular about RDK. I find this person's history is pretty interesting in the sense that he started out in some of the sort of lesser-known sides, things like BZK. He obviously also came from Hon. I can't remember which team he was in there, but he was always sort of under the radar. And it was almost like this general stigma of like he was a really good ricer, and there wasn't much else to him. And he never really got a much draw into the bigger teams or anything like that. And effectively then found his way up in the rankings, but it took so many years to do so that he's almost like to the older side. I mean, he's not particularly old. I think he's still in like the early 20s, but he's still almost missed like a huge gap of what I would say is like almost like the establishing stage of being a player. Do you think we're potentially sort of seeing like almost the end of that curve for RDK?
I mean, I haven't seen him. Like I used to always think he was like very good. I used to think he was a much better example of Adestam. Like they're both like 1v9 players. But I used to think he was a better version of that. Like he was more efficient and he used to actually get solo pre-offs and he was just a stronger individual player. But like I think he's one of those players where I thought he had, where at one time thought he had a lot of potential, right, to actually be really good, like crazy good. And then he just never lived up to my expectations, similar to how I think on Whelp on WRG, similar player. Like I think that player could have been, if he had kept his motivation, he could have broken the international scene. He really could have. But then he just, I don't know what happened to him. Like that player has the most potential, or had the most potential of any player in South Africa. And yeah, it's just like not nice to sometimes see like a player with that much skill just go to waste.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Unfortunately, a player I think he was doing a little bit more with that to say unlock potential at this point. Was somebody also playing for Bravado, and that's Soda. And we did in fact get an opportunity to chat to Soda before this event. So let's go see how that all went down.
Okay, hello, my name is Bernard Soda van Heerden. I play for Bravado Gaming. I play mid-solo, and I'm from Cape Town. The most annoying player on my team must be 225, Donald Quinn, because he's just so crazy. Like he says the most random stuff all the time and it makes no sense at all. I think the best South African player at the moment is Donny, the Beast, probably because he has 7k MMR and he plays a lot and he's amazing. Who's going to win the Mega8 Cup? I have to say BVD. It's my own team and I think we're going to bring it.
Well, definitely some interesting words. Donny, you're just smiling away at the end
Shout
of
out
that.
to my fans, Soda. I think you're pretty great too.
I think we're going to get Castaway in here to settle this. I think that's still probably the one we're going to hear the most of. Sorry, Donny, but it must be nice to be these mentions sitting back in the
I
panel.
mean, yeah, it's nice that these players like even still like think of me at all, right? I haven't even been in the scene for a while, so it's cool that they like still even think of me
Is
as
it
a
time
player,
for a comeback? Is there going to be a...
I mean, no, probably not, but you know, it's maybe in the future.
I hear rumors about some of your old teammates, by the way. I don't know how many of those are
really?
true. Yeah.
Has Seam been lying to me?
Well, see, it's funny you say
Did he actually
Seam.
quit the team just so to leave me? Actually, yeah.
I believe
Genius.
he's potentially going to be the, I don't know. I was going to say something at WG, but who do you replace? But anyway.
Habibi, right? Habibi also, he dodged
Yeah,
me.
they're reforming Bravado Emotion just
about
about Donny.
Donny.
Oh
Going to
my
get
God.
to Mali, stick him in there.
I saw
for
it coming all
himself.
along.
Right, but one of the things I like about that interview with Soda as well is that you can see there's quite almost like a good attitude in the sense that they're still having fun, right? Bravado is of course a side that has been, are just struggling unnecessarily. You know the best way to describe this is we often talk as gamers about games that are difficult by design and games that are difficult because something is wrong with them. And I kind of feel like this squad in particular have had that issue where the games, or like getting to where they want to be, has been not been difficult because their opponents have necessarily been better, but rather they've just always been these like technicalities that have gotten in their way.
Yeah.
And it's good to see sort of coming out here and still saying like, we're going to win this. But how likely is that, guys?
I mean, the thing is, when Soda originally joined that EN squad, I think he actually originally replaced Deppy. When Soda first came in, I didn't actually have that high of a, I didn't think of him that highly when he originally came in. I was like, because Ian was always like a bit of a middling team while they were still looking for their new mid lane. And then Soda came in, and I'd seen him on other teams, didn't look that great. But in EN, something just changed, and the whole team looked a hell of a lot better. Soda seemed to be playing better, and it just seemed to unlock RDK, give him a little bit more freedom. Because as Donny said, the thing was RDK ended up 1v9ing a whole lot, and just farming, and it really just made him a very static kind of player. Like you knew what he was going to do, so you could just okay, we'll just leave him. You'll just wreck the rest of his team, and he's not going to be able to carry against all 5 of us. So when Soda came in, it made the whole team a little bit more active. He plays a little bit of a different, at the time he had a bit of a different hero pool to most of the players, and it just unlocked the whole team. And they became a lot more active. That was actually when they started hitting the heights, the 3rd, 4th places that they were nailing. So I mean, the thing is, changing players or even changing spots can have a massive impact on how certain players work. And I don't know, RDK at the moment, we'll have to see, because we know he can do it, but as Donny says, it's like he's sort of like plateaued over the last year or two.
I think the interesting thing is how, as Prophecy is mentioning, when Soda first came into the team, it was the sort of overnight success story, right? Like suddenly Edini's actually playing amazing Dota all the time. But the same happened in the opposite direction now, where it also felt like overnight, suddenly Energy, like, what happened? What's going on?
BVD now.
Like,
yeah.
or BVD, yeah, sorry. Like, BVD just suddenly, you're not in a situation where you are very confident that this team is going to perform day in, day out all the time. And they tried changing roles around, didn't really work out. But I think the interesting thing about every time I see the BVD players and their attitude towards the game, a lot of teams would have by now disbanded and say, this is what we're normally used to. But they've decided to persevere through it. It's clear that they're working on their communication. They're actually trying to do something to fix this particular problem and without having to change the team, which I think takes a lot of guts a lot of the time in South Africa. But for them, it seems to work because I think they realize that this particular 5 squad of players is what works for them. That none of them, I think, would be anything near resembling the success they have right now, if not for the entire team. So I don't think you can isolate. It's really hard to isolate players from Bravado and say, all right, pick him out, put him in another team, it's going to work out. Because RDK's particular style of farm, you need the way Bravado plays Dota, you need that type of team to facilitate the way RDK plays. And the way the supports move around, Soda needs that kind of support duo who's going to be in the mid every now and then, who's going to take him with the smoke gank, move into the enemy jungle, actually make ganks happen. So they kind of need each other, like Bravado. So I think it's a good thing that they've decided to stick around, decided to try and find a way to make it work instead of just giving it all up at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've actually in the past sides have just stuck out. I think one that really sticks out in my mind, and they weren't a particularly an accomplished side, but they almost punched above the weight class, which was the old XTC side actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, Commander Sven, I'll tip my hat to you and your buddies. Just a side that should never have been, that actually got some pretty impressive results in the end based on, what we expected of the individual player. So I do think there's certainly definitely an argument for people just sticking it out, and hopefully Bravado will come back with a vengeance.
I actually disagree with all of you. People should not stick it out in South Africa, right? If you want to be the best, you need to take the best players you can get, right? But at the moment, it's pretty rough with contracts and stuff like that into organizations and into certain leagues where you need to sign contracts to commit, or you get banned from that league, or the organization just doesn't want to let the player go. So I think like there's so much dead weight, in my opinion, in lots of teams in South Africa, in good teams. There's good players in every team, but like if those players could just form a team around themselves, they could like have more competition with WRG. Because at the moment, WRG has 5 great players, and then all these teams have like 3 great players. You know, they need 5 great players together, and then it'll make the scene much more competitive.
I agree with you in general. I just think, I don't know. I don't know if this particular BVD squad would be better. Like, I don't know who I'd replace to make this team better.
Well, just to try out things. You need to try out things.
You do need to try
things. It's way better than just being static and being like, maybe in a year we'll be better, you know?
Yeah. The thing is, you also need the players available. That's the other issue, is that like a lot of the players, especially teams like, for instance, APG, the old Carbon lineups, they don't want to split up because like they don't want to play with anybody other than their friends at times. So that does also create issues. But I do think like you stick it out with a certain roster until a point, and then like if it's not working now, you have to start replacing players. Like there is eventually going to come a point where no matter what you do, you have to start replacing players to actually get better.
You know what's quite funny about this? There's a saying like agreeing in a circle. We literally just did that. It was like we made our way back towards sticking it out. So I think yeah, but all fair points. I think it is indeed a case where let's justify it. In this industry, there's certainly a time when you need to cut ties, but there's also definitely something to giving things the right time that they need. Speaking of which, though, there's a team that I've been keeping an eye on as well. XD. They'll be playing on the B stream at the moment with a surprising victory over Energy Esports. We didn't really chat about it too much yesterday, but I do think it's worth mentioning that side that's definitely worth checking out. And of course, they're playing XTC as well, who are another big name in the SA scene. So it's going to be a really good game. If you aren't the biggest fan of WG or Bravado, which you kind of should be, there's some good options there to check it out as well. But yeah, we're about a minute and some change off the actual draft, gentlemen. Let's try to get this interesting, right? Because I'm trying to avoid like a flat WG 2-0 prediction. But lay it on me, Donnie. Let's start with you.
I want to say, if Bravado get their best heroes, it'll be a close game, but they will still lose. WRG will win 2-0. But
I love that setup, though.
Like, I want to watch good Dota, right? I want to watch teams have close games because I know all these players, not certain players personally, but like I know of them. We've interacted at LAN events. It's like I want to see them excited about the game. I want to see them actually fight to win, and like stuff like that. I don't want to just see a one-sided stomp. So it's always nice for me to see a close games, rivalry, and all that stuff. So I hope it's not a 2-0, but I think it will be.
I think could be 2-1. 225 has a history with Chidawi. Has also a lot of history. They drafted a lot against WRG, so might have some better insight into how to actually pick against WRG, and especially how to pick to do something about these lanes. Like I think throughout the tournament, that's going to be the main concern for everybody. I think actually teams could even forget about the mid game. If you can't win the lanes versus WRG, you just flat out can't win. So maybe try and address that, do something about that. Also Energy or Bravado, for a while they were playing really high tempo Dota in the first like 10 minutes of the game. You'd always see like a bunch of Warlocks and Rickies running around trying to create havoc. Like Ricky not really a hero anymore. Well, it was last game that we saw. But I think they just have to do that. You can't sit back against WRG. They probably have the best chance. They play the most comfortably in the earlier portions of the game, I think. So they have the better chance to actually come against WRG. But still, end of the day, WRG there's a reason they're the best, right? Yeah. So we probably still expect them to win. It'll be if they lose, it will be an upset. That's like just the fact of the matter. But it is still possible that we will see a complete upset coming out of PVD.
We're running out of a little bit of time, but Prof, I guess you're the one who does get to make the simple prediction.
I'm just going to say 2-0 White Rabbit Gaming. I think that with what I've seen from BVD, I just don't see enough from them to be able to beat a White Rabbit Gaming that seems to be firing on all cylinders, unless White Rabbit Gaming does something silly in the draft and gives himself, you know, a massive disadvantage. I think it's going a White Rabbit's way.
So I want to say this much, and I hope Bravado Gaming can give us exactly what we're looking for. We've seen XTC and Energy, who I think were the sort of two bigger sort of fish, put their hands up and take a go at the White Rabbit Gaming roster. And I sometimes sit here hopefully thinking that maybe all these issues, everything that they've been working towards, and so the background, because we haven't seen them, are going to work up to something pretty fantastic, and perhaps the birth of the next sort of true contender. I know I'm with you guys that it's probably just going to be 2-0, but I mean, who wouldn't want to see the rebirth of Bravado Gaming right here today?
I would love to see WRG lose, if I'm honest. This would make me very happy. I'm always happy when WRG lose. I think WRG tend to play better from the lower bracket. Like they pull out more impressive things when they have to get dropped down. But most of the time, it's just like you crush everybody, you walk into the finals.
White Rabbit does look like a much better team when they're chasing the game than when they're trying to force things.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Like when they lead, they're like very, very messy. They'll make silly decisions at times, but when they're chasing the game, they usually look a hell of a lot more.
Kotzl.
Yep, this is the first pick Kotzl, not banned.
Banning Lich, though.
I wonder if they're not going to put Walp, the carry player, on the support just because he's Kotzl is the most annoying thing on earth, and then let Santo play carry. Like, that would be them, like, being casual, but, like, at the same time,
being really good.
It's scary.
It is still scary, yeah. Like
I think they actually got worse when they moved Shoal onto support, or Walp onto support, onto carry, sorry. Because he was, like, him and Schlinks were the best duo, like, in South African supports, you know, like, they were the best. And, you know, now they moved it, they got a bit weaker, but they're obviously still good. But, I mean, just, like, Shaw he's crazy.
Yeah, I also wasn't, like, I didn't understand why they moved Santo off the carry. Like, he's now position 5, I think. Schlinks is position 4. I was just like, Santo seemed to control the tempo so well last year.
I think it's more the way I spoke to the players was... Santo couldn't put in the time and effort, really, because he had other commitments. So they figured it would be easier if Shaw, the person that plays a lot, Walp, could actually just play core. You know, he felt like he couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it looks like laning is going to be the name of the game for Bravado. Doxia already. This is how you have to lead things off, I think. I think you just have to pick heroes which are good in the laning phase. So Doxia Slaughter, pretty good. Trees banned, not in the game.
Jakiro, I don't know. What is the standard Doxia +1 opening?
I feel
normally it's Slaughter.
I feel like Slaughter, but I feel like we've seen a lot more Doxia Jakiro just in general.
Yeah, I think
Kunkka, that's also good.
Yeah, that's also good. Like, the thing with the Jakiro is that it's like it also doesn't reveal anything, but then again, neither does the Kunkka.
Yeah, Kunkka also. I think this is a pseudo block pick as well because WRG actually runs the Kunkka and they run it pretty successfully. So
yeah, also X into keep away was
that
was
seems
the thing back in the day.
That seems like it would be hard to lane against. Oh my gosh.
Shidawi gets the unkillable hero that he...
Faceless just beats OG with this, actually.
Yeah.
Game 3. He was unkillable.
Yeah, maybe they were watching and they were like, actually, this seems pretty legit.
Shidawi channeling is in an ISSS here.
Seems like it.
So far, he is unkillable, right? Like, they don't have any ways to deal with the bristleback right now.
Iron Shells, I mean...
I somehow don't see an Iron Shell killing a bristleback.
Early game, like two or three level 4 Iron Shells. Like, I mean, you'll melt.
I mean, I don't feel like this is a suitable solution to the problem. But they do... I mean, the problem, I think, with Bristleback as well is that the kind of traditional counters, like Ancient Apparition, just allow you to just smash the thing apart in your laning phase. Because that's what it is, right? You can't let the thing have a good laning phase, because if he gets on top of you, he's going to just wreck your life. And things like Ancient Apparition, we just don't see a lot of these days.
Yeah, hero sucks.
And
Sad.
they just need a Silver's Edge carrier. Like, if that's what they want to look to counter it, I mean, not counter it, I mean, to do something against it. I mean...
But do you not agree that, I mean, by the time you have Silver's Edge, if that Bristleback's already a problem, you've had problems throughout the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, if your offlane Bristleback is now owning you,
And then Silver Edge is not going to really fix things for you. Like.
That's like your Bog is not your problem. I
Yeah.
think your lanes were your problem.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Also, further complicating thing, I think this Coddle makes it worse. That heal is really annoying in the middle of a team fight. When you almost think you've got the Bristleback kill, suddenly he's like a third of his HP back. And it takes a really long time to kill this hero. And by then, you've probably got like, what, 4 or 5 close play stacks on you, and you just die instantly
probably going to
afterwards.
be a Keep of the Lights Bristleback lane, right?
Lane,
Dual
yeah.
lane, off
Yeah,
lane,
definitely, it has
that's
to be.
probably it,
Yeah, and the Chakra Magic is going to make that thing just annoying in
So I
lane.
think what
It's
Bravado
never
needs
gonna
to,
run out.
they need to make sure they have a way to deal with it. Like they've got to make
Need
sure
range
they don't lose
carry.
that lane.
Maybe
Yeah.
Razor. Do we see that coming out from
They just,
BVD?
they just need to fight. They need to make sure, like the first few levels, they're fighting them and like making sure they're out CSing, controlling the lane with the pulls. Yeah,
Yeah.
they just need to make sure Bristleback gets.
Does RDK
nothing.
play Razor though?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen
It
them play
is
Razor.
good
Yeah,
last.
I've seen
Yeah.
them play Razor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, every carry player should play Razor. That's
Well, I mean, last night.
let's.
They won that game. Right? Don't flame Hazi, please.
Not blaming Muzzy, blaming the Razor.
So Rubik Band, they still need a little bit more control, right? On DVD, like a more reliable stun. Like X is great with Torrent, but you need something against Bristleback. You need to be something to keep him in one place a little bit, so someone can go and hit him from the front side. Maybe Axe for I'd say Axe 4 position, but I don't like Axe 4 position. Not this meta, like not fast enough.
Voker.
Third pick Voker.
That's
That's
like
control.
Soda Invoker, right? That's
Yeah,
also normal.
he plays very control type Voker rather than like the mass damage one.
The EMP will be particularly useful against the Bristleback as well.
Keeper
Yeah.
the.
But then there's
And,
Keeper.
yeah,
it's
the
like-
keeper will solve that problem afterwards, right? But it is quite nice that you can just
I wonder.
almost deplete one go of the same thing,
Do you
right?
think BVD goes Night Stalker here? Because that has like some of the pro
melee
teams have been
supports.
running that like you get Keeper and then your instant counter pick it with a Night Stalker, since like you can
Yeah.
just basically hit nighttime and then he's useless in the fights.
I mean, then
essentially.
it gives Darkseid a lot of room to work with. I mean, lots of Iron Shell damage. People can just keep
You-
running at you. Tanky core. Tanky support.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You can actually lane that together, like the Darkseer. It's like similar to the Slaughter, just without the crush. Doesn't he have a little bit higher armor than Slaughter as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think it's
got like
one-
5 armor or
Yeah, it's got 5 armor.
Yeah.
So,
And it,
yeah,
Silence is going to be good against BB because BB doesn't really want to buy a BKB early. So
yeah, he doesn't want to buy BKB, Yules, or Mantis Style. Like none of these items are great on this hero, so this could work.
Rasta.
Rasta.
Shaman.
Alright, so
okay.
Cool stuff.
yeah, so they
That's
can then
a cool
push.
hero. Like I think it's a cool hero. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I said to you guys, it's like one buff away from being like a godly hero.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's crazy actually. Like Serpent Wars do a lot of damage. His nuke level 1 is insane. He
Yeah.
shackles long ass disable if you don't stop him. Yeah, it's crazy. Long
Yeah, and like Hex
base
is-
damage.
I was gonna say, like, you can't even Hex with one
But
of the best
but
spells
the
in
only
the
thing
game,
that
really.
the only problem with Shadow Shaman is that he's like slow, and that's
Yeah.
there's ways to get around
He's
that.
hitting
as
like
well.
a tree, right? It's like a
Yeah,
tree
yeah,
damage.
he hits
Yeah.
hard.
It's
He's
crazy.
he is literally
Hits
ranged
super
tree.
hard.
them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I also just find that this is quite a hard line to fight into for Bravado. I mean, even if you get your combinations off, if you're fighting into Serpent Wards, Illuminate, and as well as the Shadow Shaman Serpent Wards and the Bristleback sitting in the middle, just spamming Cool Spray, it really adds up a lot very, very quickly. So if they're gonna just full out push with this, I do feel like Bravado needs some sort of answer that is, I don't know, gives them some sort of survivability in these fights, or like
I feel like they've
Percent.
got a way to fight with the Kunkka. Like they've got the type of durability they need in the fight, but like they just need something now to like do the damage.
Yeah.
You know, like they can maybe survive the first like 10 seconds, but then if they don't do kill the heroes they need to kill, then it's like they're just gonna die to too
Yeah,
many
the problem is
blasts,
like
too many
Bristleback
calls.
can't survive longer than 5 seconds in the fight. Like you either need to get him out of the fight or you need to kill him
You
quickly.
can't take
and-
too many blasts,
Yeah.
like full HP, full charge blast.
I like the win that they went for the Venge as well. Like Wave of Terror is pretty decent
Park
against
okay,
Bristleback.
they
Just
lock
make it
them.
easier to kill. Park tempo control.
It's just a tempo controller. They just want to make certain that Castaways is initiating the fights where they want it to be, and Bristleback's got them in the area where you can start getting the
I think
stacks
it's an
on.
okay lane for
Yeah.
against Invoker as
Yeah.
well.
Very good. I've seen like I've only seen Invokers lose lately versus this Puck. This
I mean,
Puck's
Invokers aren't that strong in the early laning stages. It's
Yeah.
very hard against like heroes like Quap, Storm. Okay, not Storm. More like Puck, Quap.
Puck, Quap,
They're, like,
yeah.
It's difficult for them Invoker to actually lane, I think.
Yeah, and the thing with the Keeper Shadow Shaman, like Puck's going to be a bit of an irritation if he gets any sort of assistance against Evoker.
yeah. Also, I think BVD now have to pretty much keep the Kunkka around middle. They
Yeah.
have to decide if it's going to be Kunkka or Venge at camps mid. 'Cause if
Probably,
Do you
probably
think it's going to be a
couldn't-
carry venge? I mean, we saw RDK play carry venge yesterday, right?
against
yeah,
Bristleback
he was
though,
running it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see carry venge at all. But like, the fact is, they picked it and they chose to play it yesterday. And did they win
problem is,
that
like,
game? I think
wasn't it?
it was very close.
Yeah, I don't remember the results of that game.
my only concern here with the carry range is like they have no damage once they get to a certain point though. Like Voker can do some, but Darkseer Voker
Slark's
against
good.
the Slark.
Yeah, you can't pick carry Venge into Slark. Because
No,
Slark could just
that's-
run on you and just kill you by himself. He just buys Blink, he could Blink Shadow Blade, whatever, you just get gone on.
That would have actually been a decent hero for BVD, because Slark is a natural
Silver's Edge.
Silver's Edge carrier
Yes,
against
yes. Moves around a lot. Also, it's hard for them. It's hard for Puck to like completely lock down the Slark and solo kill him.
Like the Slark is like a perfect assassin. He wrecks the puck at close range. Shadow Shaman can't do anything against him. Keeper as well. Slark would have been a fantastic pick for BVD. Yeah.
What do they go here? Troll,
So odd,
Juggernaut.
actually.
Maybe, what do you guys think of Terrorblade actually? Because I think they need like something that's going to destroy the lane. I think you can actually kill Bristleback if you have Terrorblade in the lane.
I
Pretty
think
good
they go
handling
PA.
with the Servant
They
Wards
just go
as well.
ham.
You know, get a couple of illusions up also. Rex, Shadow Shaman, Servant Wards as well when they're trying to push. It's actually
Yeah.
quite a nice pick.
You can actually take down the Serpent Wards.
The only concern is like TB's pretty weak at the early levels.
Like a very I was not joking about PA, by the way. I was not a joke pick. Like people used to do it. I think it was first Wings. They used to do that run at Udodo with Darkseer, right? It was Wings, right?
Yeah.
So they used to pick PA into Slark because the early evasion. So you keep wanting to fight, and then Slark keeps trying to fight you before he has Silver's Edge, right? He's trying to fight your PA. But once he gets Silver's Edge, okay, PA falls off a bit. But
then you should
the
have
aim is
BKB.
to have like the big enough advantage in the early game to like snowball.
Yeah.
You know, with the Darkseer shells and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's
It
like
could
this-
work. I mean, it certainly is
It's,
capable.
it's just an option. Like I think there's like it's a very difficult situation for the carry.
Jakiro, so does carry Venge.
I don't like
Carry
carry Venge.
no, this is
Well, but at the very least, Devon is right with the Doxia Jakiro strat. That's going to be their dual lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether, I don't know, carry Venge though.
I don't know. Like
This
it
is-
just feels like BBD's put themselves on a clock, and if like that clock runs out, White Rabbit's gonna just kind of like, okay, well, 25 minutes are done. Let's just win.
Yeah.
Well, let's once again toss it over to good old Wilson and Demonic to see what they had to say. Gentlemen, what do you think about that last Jakiro pick there?
I think game's going to be hard for Bravado Gaming, Devon. They have a lot of early game, but I think once the Slark gets 1 or 2 items, and once Bristleback gets an item, they're going to be 2 very, very tough heroes to kill. And they've got a brilliant support lineup on the side of WRG. So I think it's up to Bravado Gaming to actually pull this win out here. White Rabbit Gaming just needs to stick to their game plan, pretty much.
I'm also incredibly keen to find out what the Keeper of the Light can bring to the field. And
Waves.
I mean, they've been dodging this hero, the side of White Rabbit Gaming. I'm finally kind of going to see them in actual, real good hands.
Oh, isn't this your other favorite hero, Wilson?
No, it's Witch
It's not
Doctor.
absolute favorite, but I do
favorites
enjoy
is
it.
the-
yes.
Because I think it's one of the three. Is the three Keeper of the Light, Witch Doctor, and Disruptor?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can throw Undying in there as well. Bane is the thing I originally learned how to play Dota on.
Seem to
No,
like very
I
toxic
think you're
heroes.
only allowed to play those 3 heroes with us. But anyways, let's see how the gentleman on the other side of this can handle those heroes. And we'll leave it with you, Wilson and Demonic. Take it away, guys.
Excellent. Right, so these are 2 incredibly experienced pedigrees of teams. BVD having been the big blue dragon for many, many years. And obviously a big shout out to Donny, who's our big boy on the stage. And he used to play for BVD. Do you think he's going to have some mixed feelings about it?
I don't know. You know, Soda's a fan of his, so I think at the end of the day, he'll want BVD to win. But I think WOG is pretty much put themselves in a perfect position to execute this game. It's going to be up to Bravado to make the plays.
Well, without any further ado, these are the giants, the titans, the absolute gods of SA Esports. Welp will be picking up the good old Slark going towards the bottom lane with Santo in tow as the Shadow Shaman towards the mid lane. It's going to be none other than the master himself, Castaway on that puck. In the meantime, top lane, Shadawi is going to be picking up that Bristleback, followed by S on his Keeper of the Light.
And the side of Bravado Gaming, as we see them smoke into the enemy jungle, we're going to have RDK taking up that carry Venge. We're going to have 225 taking up that Darkseer. Mikasa taking up the role of that support Kunker, and Impact, the other support player, taking the role of that twin-headed dragon. And once again, Soda is going to be on that mid-invoker for the side of Bravado Gaming. And it looks like they're going to be able to bully out here for the meantime. We'll see if we get sort of any sort of response. They're going in quite deep to look and see if WRG actually want to do anything, but it looks like they are at least going to be able to secure that rune. But it has left this top rune open, so I think WRG are heading. The Kotl is going to make his sacrifice and go grab a free bounty rune for himself.
Oh, what a terrible sacrifice for a Kotl to make, I must say. So, talk to me about Carry Venge. People have a lot of mixed feelings about it.
I mean, it's a hero that, like, if it falls behind, it has almost no impact on the game whatsoever. You know, Carry Venge can do really well. She needs a couple of core items to get going. The whole point of this hero is sort of it's a minus armor vibe. That's why you generally see the solo crest, Dragon Lance, Desolator kind of build come out from most carry Vengers. Just deal
Especially since the Desolator is no longer unique attack.
yeah, yeah.
modifier.
It just that combined with the Vengeance Wave of Terror, you can absolutely melt heroes with the Vengeance aura and just the amount of physical damage that comes up. But obviously she's a one-on-one hero. She doesn't have any sort of AoE. She is pretty much just a single target hero, and that's by far her biggest weakness. Because even with farm, she's still only hitting one hero at a time.
Yep, hopefully she's going to be hitting hard enough. Impact, trying to make an impact here. And Whelp is just too quick on her fingers with that leap, getting well out of the way. Santa, though, is hitting like an absolute truck, and RDK has got a lot to worry about.
Yeah, as they mentioned on the panel, the Shadow Shaman having 74 base damage at level 1 is one of the highest, if not the second highest base damage in the game, if I'm not mistaken, to the Tree and Protector. Yeah, second to Tree and Protector. So it is a slow walking cannon is WRG Santa at the moment, just firing off these last hits when he can get them, and that's pretty much all he needs to do in this lane. Make sure that Whelp doesn't die. Is standing around here so that if they do manage to go him with this aggressive tri-lane, they're going to be able to do stuff. But obviously, what we haven't talked about is this has left Shadoi and Santo to pretty much have free reign against 225 here in the top lane as we see a pause come out. It's just
yeah, I was about to point you in this direction. 225. This could be a rather challenging lane with the mana leak from Keeper of the Light facilitating a few kills.
Yeah, I mean once Santo hits level 2, 225 pretty much needs to leave this lane. I feel he's not going to get much more out of it. Sure, he can stop some. He can maybe at least stop a little bit of farm, but for the most part, he won't be able to hang around in this lane and actually get too much experience because Santo will just mana leak him, and he's got the Chakra Magic up on level 1 already, which means that Shadawi is going to be able to throw down repeated. Thank you, Red Eye, for Brutal, Savage, and Direct. It's going to be repeatedly throwing out that cool spray, and 225 just doesn't have enough HP. You know, it's 680, a couple of stacks of cool spray. Suddenly you're in a lot of trouble. So this is definitely going. This lane is very much in WRG's favor.
They should walk away with a fair amount of last hits on to Chidawi, even though dealing with the Iron Shell is really quite a challenge for a melee hero. He's doing okay so far. Still has 5 tangos to play with, as well as the healing salve for those clutch moments. So let's take a look at the mid lane. Soda, who's the man currently calling for the break for a moment. He's going to find himself as an invoker up against Castaway. Now this is a bit of a classic, isn't it?
This is definitely a classic. You've got your two very famous, if not one of the sort of very well regarded mid players. And as we just have the various emoticons getting spammed by our players while they wait. The puck, this should be fairly even. The puck should be able to do okay. Soda, if he keeps careful, should be able to get enough a farm in this lane. And once he gets even more levels on the export, it should be get a little bit easier for him as it goes along. So I imagine that there won't be too much action until about level 5, level 6. Once Castaway has that ulti, we may see a rotation maybe come out from either Santo or Schlinks, and pretty much an easy kill for them on Soda once that happens.
What does Castaway need to look out for here?
He is gonna have a fairly good game.
What's the danger
I feel.
for him?
Not much. Not much at the moment. I mean, considering the Venge's carry, he's not going to be rotating anywhere. You've got a twin pirate support combination, which in terms of roaming is not going to be able to do too much. Obviously, the X I think was probably the one thing that he has to wait for. But as long as he uses his phase shift intelligently, there's pretty much nothing that he needs to worry about in this game. I feel like it's going to be especially once he gets his Yule Scepter / Blink Dagger, that's going to be easy pickings for him.
All right, well, it's certainly not going to be that easy. They're up against BVD, after all. These are some of the most experienced players on the block. They've been playing just as long, if not longer, than WRG. Sure, they're certainly not the favorites to win this one, but I do feel like there's a very strong possibility that BVD can give them a good big black eye before they go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a team that has a wealth of experience on the top level of Dota.
I mean, this guy here, Impact, we've made the joke already, Impact looking to make an impact.
Yeah.
But usually Impact is the impact of the team. usually does absolutely phenomenal work on his position 4.
And it
Or 5.
always surprises me how often he gets to save his carries. I remember that's something that was a strikeout the last time I saw them, which is as far back as DGC last year, where they happened to win. Impact just saved his carry heroes all the time. RDK was always safe because Impact was chilling behind him, making sure that RDK had the best possible start. And that's one of the dynamics of this team, is the fact that Impact, and especially Impact, will make sure that RDK tries to have the best possible early game he has, because RDK is such an impactful player himself that if he gets that early start, things can often go really wrong for the opposing side.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that can make a lot happen with very, very little. Now, RDK in South Africa are known as maybe the second best, if not the best, last hitter.
Yeah, and also a magnificent Morphling player. Also, at one point was one of the
classic. Yeah.
was one of the top 5 Morphling players in the world, if you go by Dota buff. So I mean, this is a man that not only knows how the last hits, he knows what to do once he's got those last hits as well. Although I feel like Venge is not really a hero that's best suited to his style. He does like to get a few like core items up and have a hero that's can get a lot of farm. I thought I thought they were actually going to pick the Terrorblade instead of the Twin. So I'm quite surprised that they let RDK onto the Vengeful. It's something slightly different.
Why do you think not the Terrorblade here? Are they particularly concerned maybe about the Keeper of the Light or the spread damage from your Shadow Shaman on the opposing side? Do you think maybe that's the answer, or?
I'm not sure. You do have quite a bit of AoE to deal with Terrorblade illusions in the form of the Keeper of the Light, the Kotl, the Puck, and the Shadow Shaman, who all have really good spam, just to be able to, they can throw out a single wave of spam, and that's going to be Terrorblade's illusions. But other than that, I feel like it would have been a good pick here, just because you obviously have Sunder, which is the Bristleback can deal an incredible amount of damage to you. You just Sunder Metamorph, and suddenly you've got the incredible amount of damage to deal back to him, and he's on 0 life. So I mean, it would have been a good answer to that. TB can sometimes not be the best against the Slock, so maybe that is perhaps one of the reasons why they decided to just go with the twin-headed dragon instead. And also they didn't have the best. I suppose this is more wombo combo as such, to go with their Darkseer Pirate Invoker combination. I mean, once Bravado Gaming actually groups up and has that team fight potential, the wombo combo is definitely there.
Yeah, there is definitely the possibility. It's mostly facilitated by this man here who's currently on break. Soda on his Invoker. What kind of build are we looking for him? And he's most commonly referred to as the most versatile hero in the game. That's because he can pretty much do just about anything. He can build into spell damage, can build into right-click damage, can build into all sorts of beautiful things. Is this going to be a team fight Invoker? Is he going to go for a Quas Wex? Is he going to go... What kind of build are we looking for out of this guy?
No, I think he's definitely going to be doing an Exort Wex, maybe one on Quas, just so you can get... Maybe two on Quas, just so that you can get the regen. But other than that, and the invisibility, obviously Ghost Walk saves lives. But
really
other than that, he is going to be wanting to... They are fairly mana-dependent heroes on the side of... It must be said, Bristleback and Slark are 2 heroes that don't have very good mana pools, either of them. So if you happen to get one good EMP off with a Tornado combination, Vacuum Wall, that's a lot of their team fight negated, purely because suddenly those heroes don't have mana. And a Slark without mana is not a particularly useful hero, because he can't get away. It's one of his big things. He needs mana to be able to do it, and it's one of the reasons why Echo Saber is just such a good item on him, because it gives him that little bit of mana regen and the sort of mana buffer that he needs with the Oblivion Staff to be able to do what he needs to do in the mid game. So I definitely tending towards the Wex Exort build here will be Soda for sure.
Fair enough. Right, well, we've said it before, Darkseer usually plays a very critical role. Here he will be doing much the same, doing mostly setup work, I feel, for the Invoker, getting those wombo combos, as you refer to them, getting them to really connect on absolutely everyone, making use of the vacuum. But is there another use that he has here in this particular game? I mean, the wall of replica is always great. It scales nicely into the late game because as the character you wall gets stronger, so does the illusion you generate. But is there some other purpose or use to this Darkseer here?
Yeah, he's going to be their utility guy this game. So he's going to be their mech carrier. I don't think pipe is too necessary this game. I wouldn't be too against a Crimson Guard just to stop some of the physical damage. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad. Even a Lotusaur being able to leak or counter shackles, that might be an interesting pickup for him. But I think for the most part, he's definitely utility guy. We're going to see most likely the mech into Greaves / Mana Boots to be able to get the best possible initiation for his team. Because ultimately, that's what he is. He is going to be the person that wants to be initiating these fights with the vacuum wall, into pirate combination.
Yeah, certainly. Well, the game is underway yet again, so let's settle on in. Grab some popcorn, boys. It's going to be fun. Soda in the mid lane, still struggling slightly up against this puck of Castaway, as we expected. 12 to 18 for Castaway, whilst it's 8 for 3 for Soda. Soda's going to have a really rough time here, but I have complete faith in him. Chidawi's the next man up on the net worth graph. He's doing pretty okay. Like I said, difficult to farm as a melee hero into the top lane up against a Darkseer, but he's pulling it off quite nicely as he is playing the right character for it. RDK, the big famous farmer himself, only sitting in 3rd position now for the last hits and denies.
Yeah, and
Why is that?
well, it's just because of the nature of this lane. They've got an aggressive tri-lane here, so there's going to be a lot of action. He's also been trying to make sure that if they do actually manage to get, he's in the right position, so that if they manage to get Santa caught out here with the combination of Impact and Mikasa, that they can actually get the kill, since First Blood has yet to be drawn. So they are definitely waiting, and he's tending towards the left-hand side of the lane here. But also this is quite far back in terms of the lane. Whelp is currently sitting underneath his tower. Santo.
I think he's panicking a little bit as Whelp goes forward as well. He's going to have to use the pounce to get out of dodge as well. Guys, this is a very, very, very dangerous lane. My prediction is First Blood is going to happen here unless 225 steps too far forward. Chidawi.
Lane swap coming
out.
Yeah.
Yep, looks like a lane swap. It's pretty good. Now, I like a team that does a lane swap in a very particular way. If they use a lane swap to also facilitate a gank simultaneously, that makes a huge, huge difference for me. Puts a giant smile on my face. Not going to be the case for WOG this time around.
Yeah, it's only 4 minutes into the game. They don't really have the power with them.
I believe.
Yeah. You can always believe, and immediately another lane swap coming in. So
are they concerned about Whelp?
Yeah, this is Bravado saying, okay, we need to make sure that Whelp doesn't get the early game that he wants to. In which case, we're going to have RDK and these two supports following him around, making sure that every time he wants to hit a creep, you've got someone there that's able to throw out spam, a stun. And looks like we might have a gank coming in here on the mid lane.
Oh, just missing on the torrent there. Such a damn shame. If that landed, Soda might have been able to capitalize a little bit on it at the very least. What's going on?
Oh, he's hiding in the bush here. Doesn't get spotted out by Mikasa running past. But the smoke did break though, so he must have been at least a little bit worried, I feel.
Yeah, good old Santa. I mean, he's accustomed to being on the wrong side of life.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. He tends to go in quite deep to try and make those plays happen. As you can see, I mean, if anybody was up on that higher ground, he would be a dead little man. Still, he's managed to position himself beautifully, and Soda is there, and he's dropping low. Down comes the LT Castaway, getting a nice little bit of help from Santa, and Santa is actually going to be the man walking away with the privilege of taking Soda's head home for 411 gold on his First Blood.
Impact, you are on the wrong side here, friend. That's a Slark, but Whelp actually realizes.
More to worry about than Impact does. This is good for them. Does Whelp manage to get out of this? He goes for a leap. It's very off-center, but he ended up somewhere.
He leap TP'd is what he did, but unfortunately he got stuck against the wall. We didn't quite see the TP animation.
That is quite disgusting. Is that maybe something he was looking to exploit? This game is full of these tiny little moments where you think to yourself, do you think he actually knew how to do that, or was that out of just dumb bum luck?
I think I don't think it's what he intended to do, But I don't feel like because they'd thrown down the ice path and the vengeful stun already, he knew that they were out of options for him to get out. So a TP was a viable option there. Just obviously a little bit janky thanks to the wall interaction. But that's Dota. Sometimes these things happen.
Yep, quite enjoyable to watch it happen before us. Now 225 has moved down to this bottom lane. Kind of trying to keep track of Welp here. Well, he has yet to go down, and that is a good sign for the side of WRG. That's exactly what they're looking for. Oh, WRG, cheeky, cheeky, cheeky. Welp walking away with the creep kills on the bottom, but must be said, mid yet again. Soda hit the deck. Mikasa in a spot of trouble, getting leashed up by Santa. In comes RDK, going with the counter stun, this time on Castaway. Castaway does have the escape if he chooses to use it. Doesn't look like he's choosing to use it yet. Is he just being cheeky, or is there a plan to turn it around? He throws in the illusionary orb, doesn't go in, and RDK actually just blows himself another infused raindrop charge.
And he had the Sunstrike go off, unfortunately just sitting in the river to the right, thinking he might have gone to look for a rune or something, but going to be able to. Yeah, worth a shot. No harm done. And good little rotation coming out here from WOG just to kill Soda again in the mid lane. Soda now sitting at 0 and 2. This is not the start that he wanted. As I said, he needed to stay safe if he wanted to stay on top of Castaway here. And now with that, he's suddenly almost 15 CS behind and looking a little bit worse for wear. This is going to slow down his Midas as well, since he had to go for the double null talisman and an infused raindrop.
And we all know what happens when you slow down Midas on an invoker. It is a serious problem because it just means your Aghanims comes a touch too late. Don't know if we're going to have a similar issue here. We did see it have an issue. What game was it? I think it was game 1 yesterday.
Sure, it was. It becomes slightly that of a blur to me. But I feel
it's one big giant mess.
It was one big game of Dota, yeah.
Yeah, one big game of Dota. It was enjoyable, but I believe the word of the day there was clowning.
Absolutely. Today things seem a little bit more serious. We haven't had nearly as much clowny. Perhaps that
we've had a little bit.
Just a tough. Not enough to get me excited though, because yet at least.
It is official. He's excited by clowns.
I mean, I'm excited by clowny things.
Not clowny things. Yeah, but not by clowns.
Not by clowns. No, they can die. I feel. Have you ever seen the movie It's?
Coulrophobia, I guess.
Exactly. Ooh, good word, Wilson. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm not even trying to... Usually we have a challenge going. Anyway, back to the game. Top of the charts, 63 is going to be Chidawi, and he's steaming ahead. And now that we've hit the 9-minute mark, it's almost pointless to talk last hits, except it looks like Santa drops a little bit low. That's because 225 is actually the intended target of the Gek. He does get taken down just in time as the TP was about to trigger off. And he was about to get on out. So the final scoreline, 10 minutes in, 3-0, and a net worth difference of about 2.8 thousand gold.
Yeah, and you can see what the lane swap has done actually in the fact that at least Welp has a little bit behind on CS. He's sitting in the bottom, at least the bottom half of the CS board. But at the same time, the other two lanes have just done so well. I mean, Chidawi sitting at 69 CS, and not too far behind him is Castaway, who's already got his Veil and working towards a Blink Dagger at 10 minutes into the game. That's going to be huge.
Now, here's the question. Well, I mean, he's sitting, where is he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th on the net worth chart. Not where he wants to be, certainly as a Slark. But is Slark a character that can feasibly bounce back in terms of farm?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Once he gets into the jungle, he's got his Shadow Dance, which gives him the regen that he needs in the jungle, just to continuously, or the sustain rather, to continually use the jungle and get those creeps that he needs. And especially once he gets his Shadow Blade and or Echo Saber, that's just, he can freely farm the bush without any trouble. As a somewhat of a Slark player myself, I do play this filthy hero, so I enjoy him as well. So Welp is going to be feeling pretty happy with the way that things are going. Sure, he didn't have the best start, but his team is having a good start, and I think that to him will be more important.
I feel that is exactly the case. Chidawi dropped very low there. He's making a little shop run going back, just stocking up on some HP and some mana. I'm sure he'll be straight back out there, especially since he's sitting on 2nd on the net worth. What does he go for here? He's got himself, a Radiance next on the menu.
I mean, he's managed to get the early Vanguard. If you can get that before 10 minutes, that's pretty much value on something like a bristleback, aka the walking tank of a hero, thanks to that bristleback ability, which just makes him so strong if he's facing the opposite direction. And a Radiance with the extra miss, considering that there's not going to be too much hitting actually coming out to the side. I mean, I'm not against it, and if he gets it in a good time, he's already at 2,000 gold, so he should have this well before the 20-minute mark. So why not, I say?
Well, there's quite a lot of interesting stuff happening here. Santo and Castaway were looking for a little bit of trouble in the bush, but they are actually going to rotate down towards the bottom as Impact was... He was slowly but surely chipping away at this tower, and now he pays the price for it. Slark denies the tower. That is a lot of gold that could have gone the way of BVD, which is now sitting comfortably in the lead of WG.
I suppose it's also just one final point. It's also worth pointing out that Bristleback recently had a talent change that makes this Radiance even more viable in the fact that he now gets 10% lifesteal, 10% spell lifesteal at level 20, which will make sure that that Radiance is constantly adding HP towards the Bristleback. And then once he gets something like an Octarine core,
sorry, Santo in a spot of trouble here. He's actually forced out on the Serpent Wards. Is it going to be enough to kill Soda? No. But at very least, it's the pick-off for the side of BVD that they've been looking for. They finally get to scratch a mark up on the scoreboard. 4-1 now.
Yeah, and I think he did. So Santo was using his own wards to deny his other wards. So that he managed to get 2 denies out of the stack. Soda trying to hit the ward, but that's one of the...
That is amazing.
That's what a cheeky little thing.
These guys leave absolutely nothing to chance. They leave nothing to each other.
That's amazing. And Whelp is going to be going towards that Shadow Blade, and he's well on his way to do it. And once he gets that, he's going to be able to... I mean, that's the sign for him. I mean, if RDK is ever caught alone, that's pretty much a free kill for him. Castaway is styling all over Soda at this point. He's so far ahead.
What does Castaway go for here?
He's got a Blink Dagger. He's got everything he needs. Sitting at top of the net worth. He's almost 2,500 gold ahead of that Invoker. And with a Veil and Blink, that's pretty much everything he needs to kill anyone on the side of Bravado Gaming at the moment, which is, I would say, a little bit worrying. He's got 14 1 charges as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rotation come out here and WOG maybe even start to think about taking some T1s, maybe top or bottom, and some other objectives.
Well, I was going to ask who chooses to fight first here between the side of BVD and WG, but I think you've answered that one. So, RDK is a man we haven't spoken about in quite some time. We did say he's going to need a lot of farm and a lot of items to come online. He's now picked up his Dragon Lance, which gives him that extra bit of range that a Vengeful Spirit desperately needs, as she's quite short range.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
doing. What does she go for next if she survives the push here?
I mean, she's going for a Shadow Blade since they don't really have a natural Shadow Blade carrier. Sure, Kunkka can go Shadow Blade, but this is a support Kunkka, not really a core Kunkka, which is generally... Core Kunkkas tend towards the Shadow Blade more than anything else. But you against the Bristleback, you absolutely need that item. So he's decided to queue up that Shadow Amulet, working towards the Silver Edge to be able to break and disable that Bristleback.
And they do actually manage to catch him in the back lines. Vengeful Spirit will be going down, and actually it's the Kotl who walks away with the kill with that final burst of damage from the Illuminate. This is the easiest push in history as the Serpent Wards are down, and that was very, very easy indeed. Puck now going towards the mid lane to stop the push from Soda.
Yeah, kill secured there. Thanks to Schlinksy on that Keeper of the Lights, and this is beginning to look a little bit problematic. Okay, Soda does at least have his Midas now, so he's got at least one use in the bag. There is starting to get up his levels and items, but they're running out of space. I feel that they're beginning to sort of cave in on themselves. I mean, RDK is now sitting behind his T2. If we look at the side of Bravado Gaming, they're so scared. Meanwhile,
yeah, there's very little that they can step out. They've got about this much space.
Yeah, and WG are just free farming the entire half of the map. I mean, Shadowy's having absolute free reign here. He's already picked up that relic.
Ooh, nice stun to follow up there onto the Shadow Shaman. The X marks the spot is good. Boom goes the boat, and the Sunstrike to follow. Soda walks away with a kill, and that's going to scratch yet another mark onto the scoreboard just before Castaway gets his very own killing spree onto the poor Darkseer in the bottom lane.
Poor Santo happens to be the only the only person to have died on the side of WOG this game, being representing the 2 deaths.
I believe the term is feeder.
He's having an... I'm not feeding yet. I think if he
No,
gets
no,
past
come on,
5...
I was kidding. Come on.
classifying, I think if you go 3 times in a row, if you're 3 times, then you're definitely feeding.
Let's be entirely clear. Santo is a guy who could carry a game as a watermelon. All right?
Yes, yeah.
He absolutely is one of the best out there. So when we say, oh, what a feeder, we really are just kidding about. These are the best available gentlemen who can play this game in SA at the moment. And we're also here to see if that title can be ripped from their cold, dead, withering
Shadawi
hands.
in top lane.
Not really going to happen by the looks of things. As Shadawi, yeah, he's chasing Mikasa, doesn't have the damage to follow up, and doesn't have a basher to get the bash in there either.
And that was a full combination from the Venge.
Castaway
dear.
jumping across to the other side. 225 and Soda caught out. There's a nice ulti coming through from Chikiro. It's going to counteract this fight. Castaway actually pulled back in by the vacuum. And Castaway is down. The big monster finally hits the deck. And that's a killing spree for Impact. Beautiful play from him. Setting it all up with the Ice Path and the Macropire.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need. And that shows you just a little bit of a glimpse of that teamfight potential that they actually have on the side of Bravado Gaming. When they get their spells together, they can actually control and lock down these heroes. Whelp actually quite lucky to get away there. And Castaway, that's a huge amount of gold. I mean, that's 529 gold going the way of Impact. I'm not sure that Impact was intentionally trying to take the kill, but at the very least, I'm pretty sure that he would be happy with the influx of gold that he's just received.
What does he do with this gold? Firstly, what position is he playing?
He should buy wards because it's a support
buy
hero.
more wards.
Yeah, absolutely. Although they actually have pretty good vision here on the map. They've got a ward by their shrine. They've got a ward in the river just to be able to show. Nothing too aggressive as of yet, but this is going to be able to maybe perhaps even get you a smoke. Think about that second time. Oh dear.
Impact making another appearance onto Mikasa, trying to help him out. Not really going to help. Then come the boat. The stun's only going to connect onto Shadawi, and it looks like only good old Kunkka is going to go down. Impact manages to TP on out.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
Good TP reactions. And again, that's the one thing they don't have, besides the Shadow Shaman, they actually don't have a lot of actual stun to be able to stop TPs.
Until we get that basher online.
Yeah. So, and that's something that's been exploited now, is that people can just TP away for the meantime, you know, if they've used their sheep. But this is going to be most likely a T2 here. I don't think they want to do anything. The pirate boat is currently down. They do have the vacuum wall if they so desire, but 225 looks like he is looking to try work towards that mech and just let this tower fall and try get their farm up as fast as possible.
Now, this does concern me because a team that begins giving away merchandise like that kind of top-tier push is usually the team who's more afraid than the other one for good reasons. And I gotta be honest, doesn't bode well for the boys in blue of BVD.
Yeah, I mean, they're still in an okay game. Whelp, oh, careful.
That Shadow Blade quick enough on the fingers. No dust, no detection. Really?
I mean, those
must have known.
those are 2 cores. I think he's recently picked up that Shadow Blade, so
Fair enough.
And he's almost finished his Echo Saber as well. So those 2 items you generally, if you have them by 20 minutes or so on a slot, you're feeling pretty happy. Any time before that, I feel is pretty much luxury. It means you're doing well. So the fact that Whelp is going to be able to pick up this bounty rune and suddenly have an Echo Saber, that not only gives him the solo kill potential, but this is when Whelp is going to start to shine. He's going to be able to get into that enemy jungle, start picking off these heroes. And even though Bravado have some warding for it, it's so expensive to be able to keep that warding up forever.
Yeah. It's certainly the invis tax is in effect here for all the supports for the side of BVD. There's quite a lot to try and spot out, and not a lot of time to do it in. Mikasa's going to walk straight into Shadawi. I suspect he knew he was there. The torrent missing. The boat's there, though. Shadawi going to get stunned not once but twice, so they've actually stacked their stuns here, Impact and Mikasa. But it's the tankest of tanks. It's the Bristleback. He doesn't mind. He's going to turn around and go in. In comes Castaway, and that was the moment he was looking for. Immediately disappearing will be Impact. Doesn't have the chance to throw down his ulti. Nice little counter initiation there from Soda. In comes Whelp on the sidelines. Whelp is going after Soda. Soda going invis, managing to get on out of there. 2-2-5, falling under the hooves of good old Keeper of the Light. Now RDK trying to desperately TP out, and he manages. So the carry's still gone out. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but I'm pretty sure the boys of BVD are going to be mildly satisfied until that very moment right there. Keeper of the Light taking away yet another kill onto Mikasa.
I mean, beautiful little team fight coming out of WOG. The blind coming out of Schlinks, just to keep his puck alive for a few extra seconds, turned out to be just disgusting. Beautiful play coming out of Schlinks. And Chidori, I'm not sure, Wilson, they can kill this hero anymore.
I doubt it. I severely doubt it, and it's only going to get harder. He is working his way towards that Octarine core as well.
And he's sitting at level 17, so once he gets that 10%...
Santo.
Oh, Santo. Oh, my man. Tending to... Oh, he's one away. Is he one away?
From?
2 for 4, so it's one away from feeding, Wilson. One away from feeding.
Is feeding from 5 and above?
By feeding is 5 and above, I feel.
Okay.
If your team has only given away single digits in deaths, and you happen to be more than half of
the
those,
deaths, I suppose.
you're having a nice feed. But this Chidori, I mean, once he gets that 10% spell lifesteal on top of that Octarine core, I don't know if you've actually had the opportunity to see this in action yet. It is disgusting. And a little EG strat coming out here as Whelp now has the gem on him. So as soon as he feels his ultimate go off, which is affected by any sort of vision, he knows that there's a ward in the area. And RTZ did this to such great effect in the Kiev major, just shutting down an enemy hero. And this is exactly what Whelp's going to look to do here.
Yeah, shut down the vision, make sure they're as blind as possible. And that will basically buy you the space you need to succeed as a Slark. You're very mobile, but you're great at taking down single target heroes later on. So, let's see how the cookie crumbles. In the interim, it looks like BVD are trying to take a chunk out of the apple of WRG here in the top lane. But the creep clear is quite extensive between Santa and good old Keeper of the Light, who's got quite a favorable scoreline, 3-0-0 for a Keeper.
Yeah, he hasn't died this game. So, I mean, Schlinks is feeling pretty good about himself. Has managed to secure a couple of kills, I would say, in inverted commas. Particularly
accidentally, of course.
I'm sure. He's just casting his wave, you know, just doing what he has to.
Yeah, it's his job. In the meantime, it's their job on the side of BVD to go looking for kills. They're out with a vengeance, and unfortunately, they're going to find the tankest of tanks, Bristleback, who immediately cakes every single nuke they've got. And finally, they do manage to take him down, but a great counter initiation there from Castaway is going to force the fight onwards. Santa, in the meantime, has dropped the sentries, dropped the wards, and he's going to manage to get a counter kill onto Impact on the sidelines. Whelp, in the meantime, trying to take apart 2-2-5. He manages. He has to go invis to try and escape, though, as RDK immediately gets mana leaked up. He is invis. It's not going to be enough, though.
Santa in the rush, but manages to get a sheep just in time. Mikasa now finds himself in trouble.
Yep, surviving by the skin of his teeth, and he's actually managed to turn things around. And beautifully done. Mikasa is going to hit the deck. WRG make it a 4-for-1 trade. And this is the huge problem with going on to Bristleback first. He's just too damn tank. You have to expend so much to kill him that it just means you've got nothing left in the tank for the rest of the 4 players.
It was vacuum, wall,
everything,
meteor.
everything. Just throw everything at him.
They threw
the kitchen sink.
The kitchen sink, your uncle, your wife. I mean, everything. Literally, the whole neighborhood was thrown at him just to be able to get that kill. And then the counter initiation from WG.
They've got no answers.
You had nothing left
things
for Whelp.
to do.
They had literally nothing left to Whelp, and Whelp said, well, okay, I've got a gem. I can see everything that's happening around me. And he just went and killed Soda off. And Soda was trying his best to stay alive, even with another hero next to him in the form of Mikasa, but there was just nothing he could do.
Yeah.
And suddenly, Dagon up on Castaway, so we've even more burst coming up the side of WRG. And this is getting more and more increasingly dire for the side of Bravado as this goes in.
Yeah, it's so strange saying this. I mean, it's reminiscent of WRG versus BVD not 2 years ago. when BVD was the top dog and really kicking them in the teeth every time, and WRG was just trying so damn hard. Now the position is entirely inverted, and I still find myself looking to WRG and saying, wow, what plays. What absolute plays.
Yeah, and I mean, it also just comes down to the way that they play, but also the way that they draft. They've put themselves in a good position to win this game, and at the moment they've done everything that they need to keep up that position. And Bravado are trying their best. As I said, they are the ones that actually need to be trying to take these fights and getting the wins. I mean, that smoke up into the shrine was a good way of showing that game plan in action. But unfortunately, at this time of the game, their laning stages really didn't go that well. So WRG were in a fairly good position to begin with, in a draft that they needed to be behind on. And suddenly things start to spiral out of control because you don't have the late game, you don't have the answers to be able to deal with the cause of WRG once things start to get out of hand, as is happening at the moment.
Oh, RDK, he's going to step forward, maybe playing bait for Whelp. Whelp, is he tempted? I think he is. He's going to go for it, and there is a little bit of backup in the form of Impact. They're going to try and initiate the fight here, but in comes Castaway. This is a bait upon bait. Beautifully done. The boat is there to break up the fight for the time being. Geometry side on the deck. Good news as well. Hits the deck for the side of a WRG. 225 taking down good old Schlinks in the background. So no more Keeper of the Light, but Castaway is running rampant here. There is nothing that they can do. Chidawi getting X'd up just to facilitate the escape of Mikasa, and that is that. 2 for 2 at the moment, and ultimately WRG win it again.
Yeah, and they did really well. They got I would say the right combination on the right hero, in that they took down Whelp first, but WRG was there to respond. Castaway with a beautiful ulti once again. RDK.
Yep, he's going in. Oh, he's actually forced him to turn around, and nicely done. He's going to get the full damage there. And Mikasa actually
that is why
walks away.
Silver Edge is at the ready, friend. He was, the last time I checked his hero, he was at 200 gold. He was about 500 gold short of it. So obviously being able to pick it, that is a huge pickup.
Explain the item. Go for it.
So Silver Edge in Dota 2 provides something called a break. Now a break can disable certain passive skills on an enemy hero. In this case, it would disable the Bristleback, which is the hero. His name. It's so nice. I named it twice, right? Yeah. So because Bristleback makes him take less damage if he's facing away from the enemy team. So being able to break that ability, make sure that all your physical damage that you're dealing into him is the amount of physical damage that you should actually be dealing, and it allows you to actually kill that Bristleback.
It is the ability that makes the Bristleback the tank of tanks.
Yeah.
And getting that item, great way of disabling that particular feature of his, where he cannot anymore tank the world. But, oh no, RDK revealing the fact that Rosh is up for grabs. Is Castaway actually going to jump in? No, he won't. Looks like they've decided to let this one slip, and BVD are coming back with a vengeance by the looks of things. 17 to 10, 30 minutes in. We're starting to get towards the late game stage. This is by no means an easy fight for WRG or BVD, but this is certainly a fantastic fight to watch.
Yeah, and they are beginning to get the answers now, are BVD, to actually do things in this game. Don't forget they picked up that gem as well, which belongs to Santo. He's not going to be the happiest. Now sitting on the Vengeful Spirits and RDK. So RDK feeling a little bit safe. He's now working towards his BKB. Another important item in this game that's going to stop down the lockdown and the damage coming out from Puck. And it's going to allow RDK to actually, take these fights. He is dealing significant damage, it must be said, Wilson.
Well,
200
it's got to happen at some point.
Maths again, 260 damage or so.
It looks like this is a cheeky little pick-off here. Again, disabling that. Nicely done. And he's so very dead. A little bit of overkill on the side of BVD, but I guess this is a bit of a grudge match. They want to make sure he goes down, because Chidawi's been griefing them with those quill sprays.
It's also just an insane amount of gold that they get. I mean, every time Chidawi dies, that's 589 gold going the way of Mikasa in that instance, and plus the support, the support gold for the heroes in the surrounding area. And that makes a big difference, because suddenly you've only got a 10,000 gold lead, 9,500 gold lead now at 30 minutes, which is not the worst in the world. Soda does have his Argonum Scepter, is working towards the BKB himself, and once these BKBs are up, that's even better for Bravado Gaming, who are suddenly looking quite strong here.
Yep, and amazingly, because again, Vengeful Spirit carry, a lot of people will say it's questionable. In the interim, though, they're going to get split pushed, and this is a ratty way of playing Dota, but it is effective. When they're pushing one lane, you push another, focus on the objectives, and make sure you don't lose the advantage.
Well, I mean, that's Bravado have to be taking fights as 5 at the moment. They have to be sticking together if they want to win these things. And that's where you can actually start to abuse the split push. So managed to get a couple of hits into that top T3 and the bottom T3 actually, but bottom T3, just one hit unfortunately before they had to back out there. But that option is always open for WRG should they ever, just because of the 5-man nature of Bravado.
Well, on the side of WRG, Slark working his way towards an Eye of Skadi. Very high stat item, works beautifully on a Slark in particular, because it does also facilitate the fact that they can't run away from you when you have an Eye of Skadi. You do slow them. It is a slow that goes through spell immunity, which is usually the way to solve that problem. And it does make him incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, and we're going to see... It looks like they are definitely wanting to take objectives now. Obviously, they feel like they've got their core items. Bravado Gaming. It took them a little bit longer.
Were they literally just waiting for Silver Edge here?
I think they were literally just waiting for Silver Edge. Obviously, the Dragon Lance is pretty much needed on the Vengeful Spirit, but I think once they had that Silver Edge, they said, cool, it's go time. But they're going to have to make a choice here. Are they going to sacrifice a T3 or take a T2?
When you put it that way, usually it's an easy choice, but fortunately they have Soda, whose job it is just to delay, and he's
bottom lane, Castaway's doing work.
Yep, Castaway jumps on in onto the bottom lane. It's beautifully done. The wall is down, but nothing's really connects other than Castaway himself. Santo, in the meantime, trying to lock down RDK and stop the damage from falling through. Chidawi now jumping on in. The RDK does not have the break ability there, and Santo now is caught between a rock and a hard place. Goes for the forced off out. He's going to try and get out of there. Another shackle, the second one on the same hero. RDK must feel like he's being played like a flute. He does manage to get the revenge kill before he goes down and loses the Aegis. 225 in the background, dying to Whelp butchering him apart. RDK now trying to retreat across the wall, bait them in, and oh no, that blinding light is a serious problem. It does burn away a lot of RDK's mana. Do they have something to stop it? No, they don't, and RDK gets out.
Oh man, 3 for 3. So,
well, 4 for 3.
Sorry, 4 for 3. They
Because
managed to get the Aegis. Yeah, they got the Aegis as well. So, I mean, managing to get the Bristleback and the Puck is definitely not bad, considering it was just your 2 supports and your off lane. And the fact that your cores survive in that instance, I would say that's arguably slightly in Bravado's favor.
Flavor,
yeah.
It is also in their flavor.
This
is usually the way they play.
We're in Flavor Town, and there's a lot of things happening in this game, and delicious things happening. And Keeper of the Light now has that Argon of Scepter as well.
I also wanted to ask about that because the swap coming out here. RDK desperately trying to find get mana leaked, and he says, "Screw you, buddy! I'm coming for you anyway. I'm burning a BKB for this. I don't mind."
That's a fresh BKB, Wilson. That's his 10-second charge.
Yeah, I was about to say RDK in that fight got absolutely fiddled by Santo. And then by the Keeper of the Light. Schlinks and Santo. They fiddled RDK. He must be so frustrated. And I think that's why the BKB came out.
Yeah, he was just tired of that completely. And now heading towards a Crystallis. So he is going to be critting sometime soon is RDK. And with the 330 damage that he's currently doing, crits are going to be significant. So he's now reached the point on this Venge that he actually almost has enough items. This is the part, he's managed to last long enough and get enough farm that this Venge is actually now a proper carry as such, that he's able to do the work that he needs to do in the carry position. And 225 is heading towards that Shivers Guard as well, which I also really like. And it's looking a little bit, not worrying for WG. They still have the Slark, which is an excellent pick this game. And he's now going to be working towards a BKB as well. But WG have to be a little bit careful here, I would say.
Yeah, that's certainly not easy. BVD are giving them that black eye we were looking for. Now the question is, can they actually kill the side of WG? That's a tall order. But if anyone can, I guess it is BVD. EN have tried. They've taken a game of WG just last weekend, in fact. So we'll see if they can recreate that sort of event here. Now, What I did want to ask you about earlier was, of course, the item progression of the Keeper of the Light. We've got ourselves a 4-staff, first item, then followed by the Agnums.
Yeah, so the
Usually
4-staff.
prefer the Agnum first.
Yeah, the 4-staff, he's actually used it quite well in a couple of situations to mana leak 4-staff an enemy hero to get the stun while they were trying to TP. There was one instance in the top where he almost managed to stun the Venge just because he had that 4-staff. And I think in general, just because of the Darkseer Vacuum Wall, having a 4-staff, getting yourself or your friends to safety is going to be a pretty important decision. So, and they don't really need the Argonum Scepter, you know, that early. They do have the Slark, which tells them where that vision is to begin with. So now that he has it, the gem can now just go onto Schlinks, so who has uninterrupted daytime vision thanks to this Argonum Scepter, which means he could see onto the high grounds.
It really is glorious. It's running around with map hacks. You can see perfectly in a big, huge circle around yourself. And because of that gem, you can see everything. There's nothing that escapes your gaze.
Welp.
No. No, he's not. No.
Debated?
He knows that there's something there. Come on. He just sees the Torrent come out, pokes out his head. Oh no, did they spot him? RDK, they're looking.
RDK did have the gem.
Goodness. Well, hiding in the corner. Pull up your skirt and run, buddy. In the meantime, they're going to try and facilitate the push here. Santo beautifully positioned up onto the high ground for the top tower. They're just waiting for the creeps to come. He's saying, bring me my creeps. I need to do some damage here. Soda's there. He might actually be in a spot of trouble if he sticks around for too long.
Yeah, they've got this ward, so Santo can see Soda. And does have that Blink Dagger and a 4-staff. So this might be the opportunity. Yeah, here we go, boys.
There it is. The Shackle is good. The TPs are going to start coming in, though. First man in is going to be the Darkseer. He's going to go for the beautiful vacuum wall, setting it all up. There's the stun from Impact. A nice follow-up in terms of ulti. And now Soda's there, fighting away as best he can, but Welp has got a BKB. He doesn't care about the spells. He's fighting on. RDK in the meantime in the front lines. He's going to charge on and try and get what he can. He manages to take down Jidawi, but nothing else. Out comes a Dagon, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be the end of Mikasa from Castaway. Welp now dropping low to RDK, and RDK holds the line. They've managed to hold the higher ground despite a very, very keen setup.
Wow. What a play. Soda doing well, managed to get off his BKB.
This is what we came here to see. This is the kind of play, the kind of Dota we came here to see.
And a beautiful vacuum wall conversation. Unfortunately, combination rather, not conversation. And unfortunately, the Pirates and Twin just not being able to TP in time to be able to follow that up with the Ice Path / Pirate Boat that they needed. If they managed to get that off on that high ground defense, I actually think that's almost the whole of WOG going down. So they should be fairly lucky that they only lost 2 heroes there. A brilliant swap coming out of RDK, kept Welp inside the enemy base as well and almost got him killed. So their Bravado Gaming definitely looks like their coffee is starting to kick in, and they are waking up to potentially even win this game. I mean, RDK is now BKB heading towards, going to finish up his Hurricane Pike, does have that Crystallis. I think he hasn't quite decided if he wants to put it into a Bloodthorn yet or just go straight for the Daedalus.
Well, that's an interesting question. Daedalus or Bloodthorn here?
I would say Bloodthorn. Silence is extremely strong against both both the Slark and the Puck. Being able to silence him stops him from being able to phase shift, and that's an easy kill. And that's the second. That's a cheese and an Aegis going the side of Bravado Gaming.
Yeah, in fact, that's the second one. If we quickly take a look at the graphs in this momentary lull in action as they smoke up, you can see they're doing it. BVD is actually doing it. They're bringing it down from that monstrous height of about 15,000 net worth difference between the teams.
Wow.
All the way back down. So it's been a long road, but it's certainly been worth it. 40 minutes in now, 23-17. Not the most action-packed game in history, but certainly quite exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, and RDK showing himself middle. They have shown two heroes top. They have shown some heroes bottom on the side of WG. So they are just doing what they can. Yeah, they're gonna have to back up though. They can't afford to let this T3 just drop, and Darkseer is going to be his way here. Soda once again on base duties.
Yeah, they got the right guy for base duties. This guy can pretty much take care of the base for quite some time. It shouldn't be too much of a problem.
And he's got the boots to travel. So if they ever need a team fight that he needs to get into, he can just TP from his base.
And of course, yeah, Santo getting pulled in by the Keeper of the Light as well. Quite beneficial having this guy around. Do you think we should be looking towards TP boots for the Keeper of the Light to facilitate the split push that they're going for?
I mean, possibly. That's filthy.
It's beautiful.
Oh.
I love doing that.
Utterly, it's totally filthy. But I mean, definitely something that he would head towards. He does almost have 2,000 gold, but he does have tranquils at the moment. I'm not sure if he'd sell his tranquils just to get some TP boots. I think it might be better for him to pick up something else. It looks like he is actually going to go for that Lotus Orb, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah. So Lotus Orb, useful here.
Yeah.
Counteract the swap, counteract the stun. You've got an X marks the spot you've got to worry about. Quite a few things. A nice cold snap from the Invoker, also something to worry about. There's a few things you'd like to reflect back to your enemies.
Yeah.
Is that really the right choice, though?
I'm totally for it. I mean, Keeper of the Light, after he's got his Argonauts Scepter, or whatever other items he has, is luxury, really. So that's the fact that he wants to go, you know, into that item. Sure, why not? It helps his team. It's got to help. It's got to help the Bristleback. It's got to help the Bristleback or the Slark or whoever he decides to put it on. So
Mikasa says, guys, I found something. Would you like a piece of this? It's pretty tanky, it's kind of spiny, but I'm going to keep him here for a while.
RDK's trying to swap.
Is the swap entirely necessary? No, out comes the stun. There's the break, and suddenly all the damage is going to start flowing on in. Goodbye, Chidawi. RDK is going to take a piece of your skull home. In the meantime, back home, there is a fair amount of damage being done to the tower. It's going to get negated. Well, not negated, but certainly minimized by Impact's presence here. Towards the top lane, Santo, sneaky little Beaky, takes himself not one tower, but also half the racks with him. The split push is absolutely incredible here.
Oh, Santo has been eyeing that top racks for a while.
That is so dirty.
And as soon as the creeps came into the bottom lane, that's backdoor regeneration gets disabled. Santo blinks up to the top lane and says, "Oh, this is a tasty looking tower that he has here." And then suddenly, and a melee racks to boots. So I mean, he's got to be feeling pretty happy. But besides his rampant feeding that's been happening, instead of sitting at 4 and 7, he's been. We are friends, by the way. I'm just putting this out there. I'm teasing him. He's got to be pretty happy with what just happened. There's suddenly a racks up.
Yep, certainly, but they're not without teeth, the side of Soda and the boys. In the form of BBD, they're going to go for a counter push here into the mid lane. Not the best lane to push. Oh, nice boat, but an even better Yules is going to save his life for a little bit longer. Don't think he's going to survive this one. Nice counter initiation from Puck. That's going to keep them locked down for a fairly long time. And at very least, it secures a little bit more time for the rest of the team to get on up. RDK is doing it, though. This is a far more consistent push in the bottom lane, though. Whelp is starting to be a dirty rat again. He's going to TP on in and trying to put up a defense here for the mid lane. Mid lane Rax is down, so there's nothing left to really defend other than taking down the carry in the form of RDK. RDK looking for a swap. Impact in the meantime on the sidelines, trying to make his way out of there. Not really going to happen. Whelp is picking the team apart. Soda, the next man down on the menu. Good night, Sweet Prince, despite the boat from Mikasa to try and save him. Down goes the big boy with the Aegis. He's going to get back up, and RDK is going to try and make a hasty escape. The gem is available. It's no longer daytime, so they do need to keep him well in tracks. And Wop is there. He takes them down. 691 gold down. Let's take a look if there's any buybacks and any hope for the side of BBD to stay in this one.
Oh man, what a huge team fight coming up from both sides. Unfortunately, the Bravado Gaming are currently running out of base. Whelp and Santo have been able to get themselves up in the top lane. Buybacks now coming out. But that's already one set gone. We already see some of Santo. Santo, what are you doing? He's playing with Mikasa.
Is he? Is he fiddling Mikasa? Mikasa's actually, yep, Santo's actually going to be the man down. And Mikasa's going to be very happy with that, although that does mean a lot of buybacks getting forced out here. In comes RDK. He wants a piece of Puck. Is he going to find him? It's good enough. The final ticket damage from that Bloodthorn will do it. In the meantime, Chidawi going up on the chase, and this is the moment for a pause, I'm sure.
Oh, man. Is this the moment for a pause, Wilson?
If somebody could see my face, you'd see the sarcasm. This is the moment for a pause right here. Pro tip.
Oh, man. This game's gotten absolutely insane in the last 10 minutes. We're now sitting at just 12k ahead on the side. That's mostly racks for the most part. No buyback, I believe, on the puck. Yeah,
Yep.
he's already used
brought
it.
back.
7:36 already, and
Yep.
he's down for 100 seconds.
Nothing on puck. Nothing on Chidawi.
RDK is in trouble. Does have a swap though. As Welp
If
is
he goes down, this is over.
well,
he's got
Welp's-
no buyback.
Welp is currently shadowbladed and is on his way down into this bottom lane. You've got the twin following rightly behind him. You've got Soda.
Anything 225 can do to save him. Quickly.
He needs to be able to. The Venge needs to be able to get a swap off to the high ground. It's his only chance.
RDK.
Jeez.
Oh, cheese is good enough. And he does swap out 225. 225. Now the sacrificial lamb in the clutches of Welp. Welp going for it. And he's not going to quite find it. Chidawi in the meantime in the front lines. Now has to deal with RDK all on his lonesome. Nice little follow-up there from Impact. He's going to get stun on to Welp. It's going to buy them a little bit more time. Chidawi in the meantime on a killing spree. Takes down not one, but two in the form of RDK and 225. And this must be it for the side of WRG. This must be their victory. This has to be it. There's no buybacks left.
Yeah, it's just Soda defending himself against the rest of the world. Welp just now wailing on T4s. GG's not called as of yet. Bravado Gaming are not a team that ever call GG. They will fight.
They want to make sure that, hey, guys, you want a piece of this? Come and get it. Take that throne. Don't you dare ask us to give you a GG on this one.
Yeah, they fight their games to the bitter end. So this is Soda just trying to do Chidawi, just throwing out some bad mana, sitting here in the fountain while Welp decides to clean up the rest of the base.
Munching all of the mangoes. He's very, very, very bad manners. Nonetheless, it's all meant in good fun. Welp, BK being up, doing a little bit more damage to the Ancient. Soda is actually going to be the man down here. Boat comes out, not really going to connect onto anything. Mikasa now in a spot of trouble as Chidawi begins molesting him in front of the fountain. And Welp says, this is it. I'm done with this game. Let's take this to game 2. It's a long, long road, and we've only just started. This is game 1 out of 3 to determine who stays in the winner bracket and who gets knocked down to the knockout bracket.
Man, what an exciting game that actually turned out to be. After what I would describe as a fairly lackluster early game coming out from Bravado Gaming, they actually managed to, once they got that Silver's Edge up, do some damage and bring it back. I mean, the graphs showed exactly that. You saw just how much
so close.
It was so close. And if you look at that graph, it looks almost like a mountain, because it was going so in the favor of WOG. Once they actually managed to get a few pickoffs, actually banded their team together, started taking those team fights, it's starting to go drastically in their favor.
And that is exactly what they had to do. Climb a mountain, and they did. Bravado Gaming coming so close to take a bite out of the apple of the big guys these days. WRG, who would have thunk? And this is only game 1. We're probably in for a treat for another 2 games, but we'll see what they have to say. The boys on the panel are ready and waiting for us. Helbert?
Thanks very much, Wilson. That was quite an interesting matchup there. I think there was some sort of flashes of style coming out from the Bravado lineup, but in the end, obviously, WG just too strong. But let's dissect this just a little bit. I want to go back in time. We were discussing the bristleback and the might of the hero that it could be. How did you gentlemen feel it performed?
I think like he might have picked up the BKB a bit too late. Like you could see there in the mid game, especially once BVD picked up the Silver's Edge, like he was getting hammered pretty quickly. Like he was really suffering against that Silver's Edge, and he popped I mean, even with the net worth that he was having, I think it was like 16k or something up against, like, I think it was the highest was a 12 or a 14k player, and it was like he was just popping like instantaneously. But a lot of those fights basically came down to BVD could only pop one of the cores at any one time. So like they could never take a full-on team fight because they had to sort of concentrate on getting either the puck or the Slark or the bristleback. They couldn't take all 3. So the fights were fragmented. White Rubber Gaming was never really, all at the fight, and I think it helped BVD in a lot of that respect.
We were watching, we were talking about the draft, right? We were talking about how they had a time limit, right? I think, like the draft on Bravado's side was actually very good to deal with Slock. They had a lot of AoE, a lot of disable, right? The boats and the frostpath and all that stuff. So like, if the early game just went a bit better, I think the game would have been insane, much more close than that. I mean, it was close, but I mean, I think they always had like the win condition on Slock. I think once Slock got his BKB, I think they had no way to really stop him. But I think like in the early game, it just seemed like every time they tried to pressure towers with Jakiro or something like that, Puck would TP down, and then Slock would be in position and they would get a kill. And every time they were just getting a kill, and then they were like getting further ahead with net worth, they were getting items. Yeah, and it just seemed like if the early game they just had to be more coordinated with like who they were, like where they were. You know, if they were going to pressure a tower, at least don't be there alone to just feed up a kill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the way that they actually played the game in the early game, the one thing I liked about what BVD tried to do is they were applying pressure on specific points on the map. I think they made the decision, they were like, okay, guys, who are we going to focus? Puck? Are we going to focus the Puck, the Slock, or the Bristleback? And they chose to leave the Bristleback out. And for a while, it was actually going really well. What would happen is that each time a fight would start, they'd see Bristleback coming and then try to disengage. They'd be like, right, we clearly can't kill this hero, so we're going to leave him alone, fight another day. And then once they started getting a few more items, they get a bit more gold on themselves, then they feel a bit more confident to try and take those fights. But sadly, by the time you feel confident to confidently fight Bristleback, now you realize that Slock is becoming an unkillable monster at this point of the game. So like Donnie was saying, you really had to decide who can you take out, like where are you going to go in terms of the team fight. But there was, I think, if the laning phase went well, this game was a lot closer already than I thought I would have ever bet that it was going to be. And if the laning phase went well and Venge actually had a much better start, then this could have actually gone an entirely different direction, especially the Invoker. Invoker got a pretty late hand of mine, I think, what, 13, 14 minutes?
13 minutes.
Ended up getting the Ags at like 20 minutes. If, like, change those timings by 2 minutes in the opposite direction, suddenly the Bristleback doesn't feel as confident jumping into the fight because all your mana could disappear in an instant. You can have situations where you can actually get more global kills with Slock, but timing gets delayed a little bit, and we get to see what happens in the laning phase. A lot of people talk about like laning phase doesn't matter because you just go into the mid game, into the late game, and then you can get back the lead that you lost in the early game. But we see now what can actually happen if you don't get the particular start that you want, if the game doesn't go as fast as you'd like it to go. Ends up slowing you down, delays you, makes future fights much more difficult to take than they should have been.
Yeah.
Right. Well, speaking about you know, the laning phase, you know, it's obviously you're progressing out of this, trying to get some core items up and hit those timings, right? But even when you got those items up as in this position, it just felt like WG was split pushing and ratting out, so it's kind of like you couldn't ever really use those items to the effect you wanted. Now, Donnie, I know that the old Bravado motion side was pretty good at this. Do you think WG made being rats?
No, it's just because we were losing fights, so we just didn't want to fight people because we sucked.
Well, how do you feel about the way WG used
Honestly, I felt like they just, since they were doing so well in the lane, Santa was so annoying, actually, that whole game, from early game. Like, if you just watched how he was playing, it was like the most frustrating thing. Like, he was very good. That's like, when I'm saying he was annoying, I'm not saying he was bad. Like, he was very good. And I think he was a key component in his team actually doing so well that game, right? And
He
like,
basically swung mid lane, as you were saying.
yeah, like he swung mid lane, and then he saw like top lane when Evoker was trying to defend the tower. He's just sitting there. He put a ward down, cheeky ward. He blinks in and disables him, and they blew up Invoker before his team could respond. Even though it was a good fight, like they responded well. It was still like a good start, right? Just on him. I think like the way the WRG's lineup was, they struggle to fight into Bravado full on when they don't have BKBs in their cores. And they can actually dodge them. They've got highly mobile heroes, and they were farming well. If Slock, I think if they just respected Bravado's lineup a bit more, and they just farmed it a little more, I think the game would have been much easier for them. And because Slock, you saw his Nepa, that was actually lacking. It was like he was like 5th or 4th at a stage for a safe laner. So he didn't have like the most ideal early game, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, they did do the ring around the roses
Yeah.
to get on the lanes for like the second time to this tournament.
Wherever he was going, he was against Ben, Charlie, and then he goes up at Darkstairs there, like, he's
Just sad Slock.
It was rough.
I think also what we saw in this game is how before the Silver Ages came out, we saw like WRG was super confident. They just walk up high ground like whatever, don't really care about anybody. But as soon as they saw the Silver Ages, so that's when the split push began. They realized, okay, any team fight that we take, we're probably going to lose Bristleback and Puck +1. And then it just kept getting progressively worse. The more items RDK got, the Bloodthorn there afterwards was like genius pickup.
He was eating Castaway in a hurry.
Like, yeah.
There was some fights where we were like, well, what happened to Castaway? And he's like,
He's just
like,
gone.
yeah, it's a quarter of his HP already, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, so the itemization I think on BVD definitely helped them extend this game. Like maybe a mistake not getting the Bristleback BKB 10 minutes earlier.
If the BKBs had come out earlier, that game would have been very different. But yeah.
a very different game. But instead it's BVD, though they thought really well about how we're going to counter this. Even if our draft is maybe like Luster in this regard, we can pick up items that's going to make the difference for us. And it made a huge huge difference in how they were approaching the fights. And then you just have to split push. And then I think that's when we also saw Santo coming really into the fold, because now, in the same way that in this previous series, you couldn't really go anywhere, otherwise the Ricky might just be in the jungle waiting for you. In this game, it felt like Santo was just waiting to blink hex you, no matter where you were.
Yeah.
You could see that Soda, like especially in the last 20 minutes of the game, Soda never felt safe being in the lane. You always had to be moving with this team. And in Invoker, when you get BTs, you want to be able to split push and then get back to your team. You don't want to have to move with your team all the time for fear of dying. And I think Santo did a really good job of forcing them to play that kind of Dota.
Yeah.
So, just particularly on this point, we were chatting about, split pushing and how people were sort of isolated on the map effectively. There was one moment that stands out for me. We had the Bristlebacks pushing the bottom tier 3 at the time, and then actual fight breaking out that went in favor of Bravado. It was like a glimmer of hope, but it suddenly fell apart, because it was a very similar scenario that I played just a few moments later, where I believe Bristleback was dead and actually respawned into one of the fights, and then it just all went downhill from there. What happened? Where did it go wrong for Bravado at that point?
Like, it was like what I was saying is that the problem is that they only have they only have resources to take out one, maybe two of the cores. And I mean obviously RDK became a major issue later on, but at that stage they only really had enough to take out one of the cores. And if it was Bristleback, it usually took 5 seconds too long to kill him. There was that one mistake that Soda made where he actually hit him with a tornado, and it delayed the whole fight for 2 seconds. The rest of White Rabbit Gaming piles in, and they end up winning it. But the one that you're referring to there, it's just, unfortunately, when BVD's cores were TPing in, particularly, I think it was the Invoker that arrived last.
He was defending bot, so like they started
Yeah.
the fight without like their main control
Yeah.
hero, right? And yeah, it was pretty rough for them. So they still won the fight, or like, okay, they won the beginning of the fight, and then Slark was like getting stacks on Jakiri in the back line, and then as the fight went on, you see it started falling apart. Because I mean, the beginning has to go so well where they kill enough of the heroes to not lose the fight anymore, right? But like if they don't, now Slark's fully alive and they've used all their spells. Now Slark just comes in and just kills everyone. They have nothing left. As you saw, like they got a lot of exit frags. They killed like Kunka at the Rosh pit, I think. Yeah.
And I think it doesn't help that the heroes that they were playing up against are heroes that get progressively better the longer the fight extends for. So Slark and Bristleback, these are heroes that ideally the fight should end in like 2-3 seconds. These heroes fighting for a long period of time. Like we kept seeing in the fights, like it would start looking out very well for Bravado. They would instantly pop 2 heroes. You'd see maybe Puck would die instantly, and Santo would be gone, and you'd be like, great, this looks good. But then you realize still cool stacks are stacking up, Essence still stacks are stacking up, and the longer this fight goes, the more dangerous these heroes become. They become basically unkillable. Schlinks is in the background continually healing them up as well. So it was like Donnie was saying, after you've used your first salvo of spells, it's like a now what situations. Like you can't really do anything thereafter to actually get the final kill on these heroes.
White Rabbit basically just, they abused their net worth advantage in some of those fights. Like they just knew that, look, we have more worth on our heroes, therefore they are more difficult to kill, and that's how it came through. Like Donnie was saying, like the draft from BVD needed to be quicker. Like if they'd pushed and gotten ahead of time, that game would have been like, it could have been a stomp towards BVD if they'd been playing like that in the laning stage, because like the laning was just such a horrible situation for them. Mid lane in particular, the thing is, you needed Soda to be up and running quicker, and with the amount of pressure that Santo was putting on, I think Santo actually got the first, or he set it up at the very least. But Santo, like for me, I would probably say he was probably the MVP of that game. Like it's the small things that Santo is doing that instantly changes the game in White Rabbit Gaming's favors, because you're not going to see the little play that he does that stuffs Soda for a minute or two.
He was doing stuff like, even that one, there was a particular fight where he died, but he put the mass open on the high ground right next to where the Ancients are. So he knew for a fact that they needed to take those Ancients then, because Bristleback was at the same time taking a triple stack on his side of the map. So by doing that, he delays them getting the same amount of farm at the same time, and he knows that he can't approach that area because the mass open was there. Stops their farming potential, so Soda's farming potential for like a minute and a half. He has to wait until these are gone, then come back.
So I think actually went to base as a result.
Yeah, he had to go back to base. He couldn't do anything. And they used the shrine, so he had to use shrine and go back to base. This is 2 minutes of Invoker time not spent really farming. And Santo just does this, but the cost of his death and the mass open was completely worthwhile on his regard.
What did he do? He also did a similar thing in the bot lane when they were fighting, right? Venge was trying to escape. So Bravado is trying to escape with the heroes, right? And now WRG is chasing him with Slark coming in. And then Santo is like, I'm not going to come. I'm just going to go take your mid tower. He tracks his wards there. So now Bravado gets away with a few heroes, but they already lost an objective. You know what I mean? So it's like two things are happening at once, and Santo's just being annoying as hell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's about the best time we can do with the time we have. We're going to, in fact, be moving into the draft right now for Game 2. So if you are just tuning in, you're missing out on what exactly is going on. This is, of course, the Mega8 Winter Cup, and we have Bravado Gaming versus White Rabbit Gaming here in the winner bracket. Of course, White Rabbit Gaming currently is 1 up in this matchup. Gents, I guess there is one question I have to ask. I think when we went into this, we all felt this was a clean 2-0. Do you think Bravado playing well enough to maybe give us a surprise?
I think with a better draft, they have a chance.
Yeah.
But the laning stage looks weak to me. And if Santo's going to do as much work as he did in the last game, I think BVD's going to have a tough time.
Well, let's see how it goes. I mean, emphasis on the draft, it seems. Bravado looking to get something a little bit better here. White Drum Gaming will have the first opportunity to ban, though. Hey, guys, what are the chances it'll be Tree?
Tree or wall?
I think
Hi.
they'll ban Coddle. Energy will ban.
Yeah,
Coddle.
energy-
I mean,
energy
not-
should
Oh,
ban
look at
Bravado,
that,
sorry,
it's
Bravado,
Tree.
yeah.
We keep calling them Energy because that's what they were known for like 3 years.
Bravado should ban. I think it's probably the best ban.
I was super annoying.
Like, it's so awful playing again. We were talking about this hero yesterday, and we could see what like you can be winning a fight. Heal comes out, and then you're like, oh wait, we've just been reset.
You see, they're banning Lich every game just because White Rabbit did that annoying dual lane with the Abaddon. Lich.
Abaddon Lich.
So like they don't want it. They just don't want any of that. They're just like, nope, I don't want you to pick that. Sorry, I'm gonna ban it every time.
Oh, WRG ban Coddle. Okay.
Yeah, I probably just don't want to give it to BVD.
What does BBD have first pick?
Yeah, I would think they do.
Yeah. No, WRG has first pick. So-
Actually, yes.
Who
Yes,
lost? Who
White
banned
Rabbit.
first? I didn't see.
White
That's
Rabbit
interesting.
banned first.
Yeah, WRG banned first, and they banned the Coddle, so they're just gonna play different Dota. Wanna go for something else? Maybe they want to get that LC for Chidawi.
Have you
He
noticed
really
like
likes that hero.
Bravado's like they've been picking up Venge consistently, right?
Mm.
And like it seems like that maybe that's what they've been doing in scrims. Like it seems like they have like some strat, like you know that they are very comfortable with,
Yeah.
and that's actually their best strat. So I wonder why they keep doing it, but maybe that's like their most comfortable hero.
Well, last game, let's be honest, it actually worked really well.
Yeah,
Like
and
compared to what
also-
how we normally see Venge carry. Like I was actually like, it's
the only
fine.
problem there for me with the Venge was like he had to. It wasn't like a first item or an early Silver's Edge.
Mm.
That was my only concern with that. There's like that. I think the Silver's Edge came in too late to swing around the laning stage loss that it incurred.
I wonder if Santo's gonna be playing the Tusker and creep
Should
on
be.
mid lane again.
It should be
Yeah.
Santo.
Just creeping around, man, stalking
So
the other
annoying.
mid.
So this pretty much means there's no point picking Axe, LC, these kind of heroes. Just like get insta counted. Maybe Bat Rider. Actually, we haven't seen that hero at all this weekend. Really, why do you guys think that is?
I actually don't know. It seems like are they like on these teams? Are these people known for bat riders? These offlaners? Do they think they're
There's
better?
a lot
at
of SA teams that don't actually run Bat Rider. It's like SA players seem to avoid it in
There's
general.
probably
2 to
For other
5.
heroes, right?
2 to 5 is really known for his bat though.
Is it?
From Bravado. Yeah, he's played like bat a lot of the times. Like when,
Mythic ran a bat yesterday that was like safe lane bat with supports and I don't know that like
oh yeah, you're right. You're
against the Timbersaw, which didn't
Yeah.
make a whole lot of sense.
Are we gonna see
That-
like
that
a
didn't work.
CM? What are the standard picks for them? Rasta. All right.
Rasta. Okay, so they're gonna value this hero. Rasta Jack. Maybe they want to try and push faster the score run.
Are they gonna do another Venge draft? Do you think?
No.
I mean, if
I get
like,
Tusk
if-
actually can work.
Maybe they're gonna fix the problems with the last draft. They're
Yeah.
gonna like have stronger lanes and actually pushes
Yeah.
that actually work out in the early game.
The thing is, like, I think going straight for a Venge draft might be a problem unless you know what White Rabbit's got.
Maybe they're gonna ban Slock this time.
What do you guys think of Sand King this game against
Like,
Tusker?
the thing is, Slock would have actually been a very
I'm
good
always
hero
up
for
for
them last game
Sand
because he picks up the Silver's Edge pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
I agree.
Well,
Just so there's like so many heroes available in the pool, and like
Yeah.
you don't know what these teams are, what they're up to.
I do find it
Oh.
interesting they pick up the
Sweet.
Tusk at the right. I mean, this to me is one of those heroes that was like a specific counter hero. Like he's a good hero, right? But he's just like super effective against things like Legion Commander, Axe.
Tusk is actually pretty good against Sven as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I agree.
It
The,
is.
the what do you call it? The ulti, but just the sigil.
The sigil, Frozen
the
sigil is incredible.
For
brutal.
BKB, it's like
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, Sven can't do anything.
As long as
actually.
they just don't go near him, you just put the sigil on. You just like keep running away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doom.
Doom. Okay, so they did this yesterday, Tusk Doom,
They
Yeah.
did, yeah, you're right.
and they won.
The problem was like the Doom didn't do a hell of a lot.
This
like,
when they
he
had the bottom
farmed.
safe lane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
thing was like the Doom just farmed a lot and then just didn't do a whole lot of anything,
They
unfortunately.
will put him mid this time, and they'll be OG. But OG lost, so.
The thing is, I don't think that if WG had the same performance that they had with the Doom roster, Doom lineup previously, if they do the same thing as Bravado Gaming, I think they lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like they,
I actually
what
think
their team is
Sven
from-
is like RDK's best hero, by far.
and I also think
I'm
Sven is
excited.
good against
Instead of his
Doom.
morph?
Like
Better than Morph. I think it just suits the meta now. So like, you pick Morph, it could be good at it. It's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
So like, I think Sven suits the meta, and he's like, when I think of RDK, I think of Sven, and then or Adestam, I think of Sven. These are the heroes, like the players I
like
think of Sven.
these rising
Yeah.
carries. I
And
also
fights early. Yeah.
I like it
or
versus
as
Doom as
Sam
well.
would say, hitting the crep.
Having the craps, a lot of the craps.
All the crips. I like heroes that can fight against Doom even if they're doomed. Like Sven is one of those heroes you just go ultimate.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those games you could probably even buy the Mask of Madness and then jump in. Doesn't really care if he gets doomed or not. Like
And-
kind of
and
tear
he has
them.
God strength
And
on
he's
him.
actually better against the Doom now because of the strength buff that he gets when he pops
Yeah,
the ulti.
gets
as
the
well,
bonus
so-
HP. Wait, how much damage does deal Doom? Like in total, like 260 at level 1, like
Something
after
like that.
reduction.
No, it's not very long either.
Yeah, so I think that's like all the bonus strength that comes from the stand. He negates pretty much all of it, so he can really do well against this Doom this patch.
I'm sure he won't be. If he has God strength on, I'm sure Doom won't be doing him. That'll be crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like
I
Sven is
shouldn't.
not a Doom target. This
No.
game.
If he dooms him after Sven is stunned and God strength, then
This
Chidawi
does
has
mean that like
issues.
what's Chidawi gonna do in the lanes? Like, can you go lane versus Sven as a Doom?
it's a hard lane.
It's
They've-
really
they've got
difficult
two
lane.
strong disables and
Yeah.
and a carry that is like tanky, right?
Mm.
And does a lot of damage right click.
And he has a lot of move speed. Doom has been really slow for a long time, so I think Bravado so far setting up for powerful lanes.
But it makes me think because WRG always like they do these dual lanes that somehow just do really well. I think the individual skill just pulls them through some things that
That
they
shouldn't happen.
That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I think we probably see our next support now for BVD. I don't think you want to go see him. I think you have enough disable, right? Maybe some sustain. They're lacking that.
Yeah,
If
it's either that or an offlaner. I think Docs. Yeah, it's a bit too early for Docs here.
I prefer Sand King this game versus the Tusker. Like, you know, if you have the Tusker initiating with the snowball, or like trying to save somebody, then you know exactly where specific heroes are going to be. You jump them with the.
Yeah.
Control TA.
That's an Al Clasico of
This
Pass
is
Away,
mid.
right?
Yeah.
It's one of his signatures.
I think if you know they're gonna, they might. Okay, you don't know they're in dual lanes, but most likely if they do dual lanes, you can pick something that can abuse that, like Darkseer or Clockwork maybe. Clockwork's kind of nice against TA, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like you to keeping in there and battery assault early on. Like if unless TA is super farmed, like Clockwork's good against him. So that would be a cool pick. Or Batrider. I like Batrider
I
as
really
well.
like Bat, yeah.
With
Like,
Invoker and Sven. Like
Invoker Sven and against TA and Doombringer. This is actually a really big, good Bat game.
Like Doom's problem here is that like he seems tanky, but he isn't really. Like his armor is so
Punch.
low.
Oh.
hands in the air, boys.
Okay.
What is
I
this?
knew it was going to happen at least once.
Who plays this? Mikasa?
No,
No, Mikasa's the carry now.
Mikasa's carry.
No,
So
no,
he's
ODK
not
is carry.
carry.
This is the role swap thing.
Yeah, so actually,
It is Mikasa.
Yeah.
Impact is 5. Yeah.
Impact will play Sven. Yeah, Mikasa will play the Pudge.
Rust, I mean.
Yeah, Impact will play Shadow.
Yeah, other way
Yeah.
around. Sorry, yeah.
Damn you, role swappers in DGD. But yeah,
Pudge.
that's cool stuff.
I actually like Pudge this game.
Waven.
Wyvern.
What's happening?
So-
all these picks are coming out.
Waven is okay versus Sven. I think the idea is
but
just
against
like,
an Invoker.
but against Invoker, pretty bad.
Let
Um,
me save
strike me.
him and set up a perfect time strike.
Like Sven's gonna be in the melee melee range, and then the hero's gonna be with him, and they're gonna ulti. Waven's gonna ulti his ally, and Sven's just gonna two-shot him.
Yeah,
It's
so
gonna be
like
so
with God
disgusting.
Strength and Echo Save, he's just dead. Like, oh, this sucks.
I mean,
But
that
you can
is
get
kind of
Pudge hooked.
true, though. I mean, if you get caught next to a Sven with God Strength
Yeah.
by Winter's Curse, you are. I don't care if you're the Pudge and you've had a great game with a lot of flesh strength. You're going down.
No, not really. If Pudge is not caught inside the Winter's Curse, just hook you out. It's fine.
Oh, that's true.
Hashtag calculated.
Calculated.
Yeah, this is the plan.
My only concern here for White Rabbit is that they actually lack a bit of control. Like Tusk is going to do a bit.
They do have kind of
Winter
weak
Wyvern.
supports actually.
Mm.
At this Waven Tusk is not like an ideal duo,
Yeah.
I would say.
The problem is TA and Doom don't really.
More.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Who's drafting Chidawi? Okay, someone's saying some things.
Chidawi Morph. I know he played it a lot.
I
last
wonder
year,
if he
but-
just said I want to play Morph this game. Like I wonder.
Nah, it'll probably still be Whelp on this.
Do you think Wild
Can I
said,
tell you what
don't
happened
want
here,
to carry
guys?
anymore?
Can I tell you what happened here, right? Is that they didn't realize they'd already picked Winter Waven, and they were just looking for the icon that looks similar. And they're like, oh, wait, that's more. Oh, they
Playing
kind of look
Morphling now.
identical, right?
Now we're just playing
If you
Morphling.
check these games, Chidawi's actually been like the most farmed
Yeah.
out of the two. So maybe they've been like, you've been playing carry anyway.
Just
might
come
as
back
well,
into
might as
Enigma.
well play
Enigma.
Morph.
Enigma.
This
Offlane
is
Enigma.
such a good Enigma pick, actually. Like, they can't. What are they going to do in the lanes to stop this Enigma? Winter Waven can stick around a
You
little
can
bit.
deny
But
a lot of farm of Morphling, right?
Yeah.
Just denies is really good.
you just deny all the farm from Morphling. Black Hole is amazing this game. Like, there's no way that he's ever going to get doomed. Or he can also come in as a counter initiation onto Tusk and Morphling, shut him down. Midnight Pulse, I
Yeah.
think, is also fantastic. After Sven jumps
Like-
in with initiation. Yeah, I
Like,
really
one
like
of the
this
best
BBG
counters
drop.
to Doom is just lots of Doom targets. Like
Yeah.
you have Invoker, Enigma, and probably Shadow Shaman. Like if you can catch any one of those three before the fight starts, you have to pick one. You can't
Yeah.
use it on any of the others.
Well, I tell you what, I would be pretty terrified if WG win this because I actually think they've been like pretty heavily outdrafted here. But let's hear the thoughts of particular Wilson and Demonic on the casting desk.
Oh man, what an Enigma pick. I love it. I love seeing Enigma in LAN tournaments, and 225 happens to be a pretty good one at that hero, plus a Mokasa Pudge. I really enjoy the draft here from Bravado Gaming. What do you think, Wilson?
I'm loving it, to be entirely honest, but it's actually kind of a stab, I feel.
Yeah.
So Morphling not sitting with RDK, it's his signature hero, and you've got the big black hole versus the cheap man black hole. Honestly.
Right. Why not? Why not? And on that note, you just keep that. I'm not throwing that back, and it never left. Cheers, guys. Enjoy.
Right, so gear on up, grab that popcorn. It's going to be one hell of a show. Templar Assassin has also been a hero that's had one hell of a showing recently in the scene.
And Castaway is a person that knows how to play this hero very well. Also, being an Invoker player himself, he knows how to get the advantage in that matchup and do what he needs to do in order to be able to get a good early game. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things pan out here between WRG and Bravado Gaming. If I were to make a prediction, I think we might be going to a game 3, which makes me excited already.
Yep, that's certainly what I was looking forward to, but we'll see if BVD have it in them. They certainly came this close last time. Let's see if they got it this time round. So without any further ado, let's introduce you to the teams. It's going to be Whelp on that Morphling heading towards the bottom lane. It's going to be good old Santo on the Winter Wyvern. No surprise there. Castaway picking up that Templar Assassin heading towards the mid. Chidawi on that Doom heading towards the top lane. And Schlinks on his signature. And I say signature for a very good reason. He loves playing Tusk.
And on the side of Bravado Gamer, we've got 225 picking up the role of that Enigma is most likely going to have quite a good time here in this off lane. Soda once again taking up the role of that Invoker, hoping to have perhaps a slightly better start, although he is once again up against it in the form of Castaway's TA, who is another fairly unfavorable matchup for Invoker in the early game. We're going to have Impact now, hoping to once again have a better impact this time, and perhaps a better hero to do it in the form of the Shadow Shaman. RDK on one of his perhaps signature heroes in the form of that Sven. And last but not least, someone that's going to be hooking people out of place and making sure that they don't get the team fight that they want. It's going to be Mikasa on that Pudge.
The fatty. Yep, definitely. Well, Impact, let's quickly talk about him. He did have a great impact in the previous game. Did so much with just a Jakiro. And take a look at the dirty plays from WRG. They're going to secure themselves 3 bounty runes, whilst the entirety of of PVD. I'm making a mistake Donnie was making on the panel. The entirety of BVD only walk away with a single bounty rune to kick off the game. That's 100 net worth.
Yeah, it's 150 gold advantage before creeps have even touched sides, so good on WRG.
Good job.
Yeah, good job, WRG.
Woo!
This mid matchup is definitely going to be one to watch. Slinks is already looking to get involved here. And I feel like the earlier they can get a kill on Soda, it's the better. But I imagine they're going to wait for for Castaway just to get level 2 or 3 here. It looks like he's heading up towards that top lane in the meantime.
Interestingly, Schlinks has yet to level just about anything. I personally prefer it when people do this, because you never know what you need until you actually desperately need it. So picking up something before you encounter your lane, not always the wise move. Obviously not in every situation. Some heroes prefer definitely picking up, it doesn't matter what situation you're in. If you're a Darkseer, 99.9% chance you're going to need that Ion Shell.
Yeah, if you happen to pick up Surge on the first level as a Darkseer, your game is going to be hard. Pretty
Very
much
hard.
because getting to that level 2 often becomes a struggle. So I do agree that holding skills like this is definitely for the better. Chidoe hasn't managed to find the creep that he wants to in the early game, and then Doom in the form of that HP creep, the Satire, who gives you that 5 HP per regen, which will help him just run off into the jungle in the meantime. So he's just trying to get some XP in the top lane, but he has to be very careful here.
Yeah, there's always Mikasa that can do something. Fortunately, he's going to need some levels of his own, good old Pudge. Sitting at level 2, that meat hook range is not phenomenal. It's good enough, but it's not exactly phenomenal.
Yeah, it's not the worst at first levels. I mean, it's 1,000 range. It's definitely a lot better than the 400 range that it used to back in the day for those that have been playing Dota long enough. That first level hook was
seriously underwhelming.
It had good girth, but the length was lacking. Let's just put it that way. So I think I've just killed my co-caster.
Oh, you've killed your co-caster. Mikasa smokes up, finds Chidawi, and Chidawi actually finds himself a creep. That's the unholy aura he was looking for, that health regen plus the shockwave. that I've actually seen been used to secure kills at quite a distance for a Doom. So we're looking forward to a little bit of shenanigans out of him. Let's take a look at the last inning situation, and as expected, WRG in the lead with Castaways TA at 17 for 8.
Yeah, and Enigma has just decided to go off into the jungle, getting us the best start that he possibly can. Already working towards that soul ring, and is going to be feeling pretty comfortable. That does allow Whelp to get a lot of work done here in this bottom lane, sitting at 19 CS so far. And of course, denies are important nowadays, which is also important to remember. They give 30% experience to the person that does the denying. So levels are a thing that is really important to Morphling. So the fact that he's denying well as well is really good. It's really good for him.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
Is this the right way to go here? You're leaving Whelp utterly uncontested, unmolested, completely alone, to quietly and do whatever the hell he likes.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, Morphling needs quite a lot of farm. Like, he generally starts to only fight it after sort of the 15-minute mark, which gives you some time. I reckon Bravado Gaming only need about 10 minutes here before they have almost everything online that they're going to need to. I mean, Enigma's going to have his black hole in no time flat. He's already sitting at level 3.5. Yeah. And with that soul ring, he's going to increase his farm even further.
Yeah, take a look at the positioning. I mean, we've got 3 up here for the side of BVD and 2 down here for the side of WG. No lane contesting anywhere between top or bottom. And I guess that means all of the actions dependent on mid for the very early stages of the game. Does that mean we're expecting a Soda first blood?
I imagine that Soda is going to be the first attempt that WOG are going to make at a kill at some point. I think it's going to be entirely up to Schlinks and his movements as to where the first blood attempt is going to make place. On the other hand, a good wraparound smoke from Mikasa and the Shadow Shaman.
Here it comes. Oh, it's good. He's got the rot as well. Castaway in a spot of trouble. He does not have the melt to go invisible. He has to run this one out. Schlink's trying to get involved and bust up the fight. He does just enough for Castaway to get on out. But what a great hook from Mikasa. And that's the strength of your Pudge. It does 2 things. New card and pull you out of position.
Yeah, and that's something that Castaway is going to have to really watch out for, because I mean, the Pudge's rot can almost instantly get rid of that refraction, and as you saw, once that happened, you've got the cold snap flying in, and it's just a pile of physical damage coming towards Castaway. So he's definitely going to have to be careful here. But Schlink's obviously doing great work.
Oh, dear me, towards the top lane. RDK getting a good stun, followed up by Impact Shackles. RDK whacking away as best he can. Does he have enough? No, he doesn't. The health regen is just too strong. Here a Sunstrike, though. Oh, so close. No first blood just yet, but Shadawi dodging it by an absolute inch. Mikasa comes in, the fisherman takes his bait, and it's all done and dusted. There's your first blood, ladies and gentlemen.
He would have predicted the Pudge. Wilson behind his T1 tower just happens to be struggling. Says, "Oh, there's a tasty Doom."
You know, for a morbidly obese man, Mikasa is doing fantastically well. He's moving at a rate of knots, and that's largely due to those Tranquil Boots. And it's absolutely necessary for a Pudge to be mobile across the map. Are we expecting a Blink Dagger out of him?
Absolutely, at some point. He's going to be blinking into all sorts of places. Him and that Cockney accent that exists on the Pudge, and doing what Pudge does best. All right, there, yeah. So,
oi, oi.
as we, Mikasa once again coming towards this mid lane. They don't really have WG's vision. Quite importantly, is up on this side, thinking that the Pudge is going to be trying to hook from the opposing side, from Castaway side of the river. But Mikasa's actually taken a different approach, and has been hooking from the high ground on his side for the most part. So just doing what he can here, getting some levels, and
oh dear, Schlinks walking straight into Mikasa. Don't think Schlinks is too worried, as he does have the backup from Castaway not too far away. There's the snowball. It's going to keep Mikasa locked down for a little bit longer. Sunstrike comes out. Doesn't really do much of anything, I'm afraid. Now Schlinks is going to be reinitiated upon by 225 and Soda. Oh, lovely slow from Castaway. Might buy Schlinks the time. It does. Buys him the time to get out of there and not take that final tick of damage and activate the stun from Cold Snap.
Wow.
Ended up being a pick-off. 1 for 1.
What a great little play from Schlinks and Castaway, just being able to get that kill and get the hell out of dodge. And this is one of the things that Templar Assassin happens to be really good at with the Psyblades, is taking down these agent stacks early. We have a really nice agent stack that Castaway is working on, already sitting at 49 CS with 50, almost 30 denies. and well on her way towards that Treads and Blink Dagger, Treads and Desolator, which is, she would generally want to get up on Templar Assassin by sort of the 10-12 minute marks. That means you're doing really well in this lane, but with that kill in the bag, Castaway is having a fantastic early game here.
Oh, absolutely. We're now about 8 minutes in. Let's quickly take a quick squiz at the net worth. Welp outdoing his carry. Well, they're actually neck and neck for the most part. Welp in the bottom lane, sitting second position by about 100 gold to RDK's Sven. But it is to be noted that Sven does have an assist to his name as well as all the creep kills.
Yeah. And interestingly, the Doom has actually been able to keep up.
stack.
Oh my goodness. The Doom has been able to keep up with Enigma in terms of farm, actually just slightly ahead of him in terms of the off lane. So, oh, beautiful little Hadouken coming out of Chidowi.
That is so cheeky. Just trying to deny last hits, I guess. I'll take those, thank you.
It's 100 mana for him to cost that, so it's a lot of dedication towards his mana pool. But now that he's got the level 6, and he's one creep away from getting Doom.
Yeah, it's definitely worth
okay.
it. And once he does have Doom, what's the target?
I mean, there are quite a few pretty good targets to go for here. Obviously, Enigma, a great target to Doom, being able to get unable to get off that black hole.
Yeah.
Shadow Shaman, also a really good target. Pudge, if his Rot is on, that's pretty much an easy kill for the Doom if you happen to get that.
Or a deny.
or Shadow Shaman. So I mean, I imagine the bigger priorities are going to be the Enigma and the Invoker for the most part, but definitely there are plenty of good targets to get gone on in this one.
Out comes a hook. It's going to connect with a creep, but nothing else. In the meantime, though, that's going to buy them the time for the side of WG to do a little bit of damage here in the bottom tower. Book themselves an early tower usually buys you a fair amount of net worth advantage as a team as a whole, because that 200 gold does get multiplied by 5, essentially.
Yeah.
Each and every one of you does have that extra 200 gold to play with in the bank, which obviously allows your supports a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more vision, helps you avoid getting ganked, that sort of stuff. Speaking of vision, not a lot of load shedding just yet. It looks like the vision advantage, it's actually pretty similar. You've got 2 wards for the dire side down towards the bottom here. One guarding the ancient stack quite importantly, the other in the top, keeping an eye on this off lane.
Actually, I really like this. There's been so much focus on both sides in emphasizing river vision, because you've got heroes like Pudge, you've got heroes like Tusker on either side, that if they can get onto the other side, get themselves into a good position, that's like a really easy gank for them to initiate and execute. So the fact that they've got all this vision down the river means it's quite hard for these heroes to make those rotations, which is why Mikasa, we did see that one hook, but now with all this vision up, he's not going to be able to do the same thing again, right? Which makes his life a little bit harder.
Unless the smoke is called, and which it is at the moment. 225 smoked up with RDK and Impact. They're going to be looking for a little bit of blood. Preferably they're looking for Castaway, but they do spot themselves a big ancient stack, which was destined for Castaway, and now RDK says, thank you very much for all your hard work. I'm going to be lapping this up like the dog I am.
Oh, and that has just shot the Sven up in net worth. Castaway is going to come back here.
Is that better than a kill?
That's I would say much better than a kill. If they do manage to get out here, killing RDK could be huge.
Is it coming? It is. It's going to be a Doom, and it's good enough. Schlinks is right there to follow up. There's the hook. It misses as trying to save Sven. I think his fate is sealed anyway. Chidawi now melting away in the face of Soda, and Schlinks goes for a hasty escape in the wrong direction. Chidawi senses that Sunstrike coming, turns around, gives a cute sidestep. The stun is there. Setting it all up for the final hook from Mikasa. The fisherman is here, and Pudge is here to eat.
And okay, so Sven managed to buy before he died, so that's not the worst. Getting that ancient stack, you've used your Doom, so that's going to be down for a little while now, 110 seconds. It has quite a long level 1 cooldown. You've still got your black hole, so you can at least use the pressure and threat of having that black hole to continue taking objectives. So I don't think BVD are going to be too upset with that, really. I mean, sure, the Sven died, but he had already got what he came for as such.
Definitely. So, Pudge, let's talk about his involvement here. We're sitting at 2 for 2 at 12 minutes. You'd like to see a little bit more out of him. Unfortunately, it has been quite a challenging game. I kind of feel like his impact so far has been quite substantial. Obviously, he's facilitating the kill in mid and being basically a terrorist.
Yeah, he's done what he needs to in this game so far, and it looks like They may want to try on Whelp at the top here, Enigma.
Who doesn't have a replicate available to escape to.
Yeah, it doesn't have that replicate yet, which is an important thing to note. And just sitting at 200. Oh, this is a beautiful hook.
Up, the munch is there as well. The follow-up is there. 225 trying to do whatever he can to keep him locked down. But the strength gain is just so damn much. In comes Santa with a TP. He's going to get the turnaround onto 225. Another lockdown in the form of impact. Means that 225 is likely going to be the next one down. No, first it's Whelp. They finally managed to take him down. And 225 limps away to safety amazingly. Santo in a spot of trouble. He's going to kiss the deck and say good night, sweet prince. That ends up being a 2-for-0. I thought for a moment there that the strength gain was broken and busted as hell. But fortunately, they do manage to take him down eventually. It took the hand of God to take him down, but he did go down.
Yeah, mana proving once his mana ran out and he had no more strength to gain. Unfortunately, you can only get so tanky on that Morphling. And just not having enough at the end of the day. Really close. 225 limping away there. Black Hole was used. And don't forget, there was 2 support heroes and an off lane that managed to kill a support and a core. Which is a lot. Sven was still continuing to farm. Soda was still continuing to farm, adding in a Sunstrike there. Huge kill to be able to do that and continue your calls and farming. And suddenly we find that it's only 500 in advantage of WRG. And doing well. Enigma's now got his mechanism heading towards that the Greaves, and most likely going to be picking up a Blink Dagger sometime soon.
Blink, I don't think this is one of those games where he can rely on his team to keep them locked down long enough for him to just waddle in and do his thing.
No.
So I really do think a Blink is a critical item, although never know about the timing. In the meantime, Mikasa in the top lane goes for the hook on Whelp. This time will not find him. And just as well, because Whelp would have been very, very sour to have gone down yet again. He does have buyback, no, sorry, not buyback, backup in the form of Santo in the back lines. What a pretty Winter Wyvern, by the way.
It's quite a beautiful set. I don't know, I'm a little bit jealous of it, but I decided not to comment. And Castaway does have his Desolator now, so sitting at 15 minutes, does have that damage item that he needs. So perhaps a little bit slower, thanks to the fact that his stack got taken, but he's not going to be too upset with the way things are going.
He is leading the net worth.
Yeah, we are waiting for him to make the impact here, right? Because Castaway needs to be able to deal the physical damage, and this is generally when you want to see a TA start to get going. Once he's got that Desolator, he can start to make kills.
Tower.
Yeah,
That's all I really have to say. RDK has popped his ulti. You've got the Serpent Wards down. Black Hole is nearby to follow. No, it's not. Actually, it's still on
42
cooldown.
seconds, yeah.
But I don't think there's much they can do about this tier 1 tower. Do they really want to take a fight? No, I don't think so.
No. WOG were thinking about it, but I think
have it. Just
with you've got Whelp in the bottom lane. He's easily just farming away, working towards that Lincoln Sphere, which he's now just picked up. Really good timing for him, and Castaway just farming. So that with those 2 main damage cores out the way, Chidoi's not going to be interested in fighting.
Going for the hook on Chidawi. Chidawi does get hooked. He's going to start getting munched. The nuke is good, though. And the backup again from Santo. Doomed will be that poor little Shadow Shaman. He will be giving away his life, Chidawi, for that kill. The Mikasa hook misses on Santo. And a nice little sidestep is good enough. Eventually, though, Impact hits the deck.
225 tried to get there for the deny, but unfortunately, his lack of legs on the Enigma just proved to be too slow, and couldn't get there in time to deny that poor little Shadow Shaman. Yeah. And that is something to remember, that the Doom deny has been missed twice. It was by the T1 bottom here in mid. Soda did miss the deny, and that's the second deny. So Chidawi has been able to at least pick up these kills with Doom, which adds to his net worth, and he's got a solo crest, which I actually really like in this game.
Why?
It's being able to put the solo crest on something like a Morphling and a TA, gives them. Otherwise, you put it on an enemy for true strike chance, which is also really good. But against the high physical DPS out of heroes like Sven, being able to add extra armor onto your core heroes is so important and so good at the same time.
Yep, certainly. Trying to bait out something here, this illusion of the Winter Wyvern. Cute idea, and Mikasa does throw out a hook that eventually misses anyway. But it looked like RDK and the boys wanted to take a piece of blood here in the mid lane. Let's see what happens, though. Yep, there's the charge. It's good enough. The Warcry buying a little bit more armor. They're going to try and go for this tier 1 tower. Yet again, this time 225 does have an available black hole. However, WRG up to their shenanigans yet again. Dirty, dirty players that they are. Whelp is going to start whacking away at the tier 2 tower top to alleviate the pressure in mid.
Yeah, and it's going to wave TP away down to the bottom lane, start hitting those creeps down there and just doing what it can. And this is the one thing, you know, when Bravado Graving group up, you do have the Morphling and stuff that can actually split push and do some work here. So Whelp just doing what he can to relieve that pressure of the mid lane, and as a result, the mid tower stands, which is great for WRG.
Speaking of which, things standing. Something's not standing here with Castaway. Usually we see a blink picked up early in the game on a Templar Assassin. This one, not so much. Why?
He's got it.
Oh, no, he does. Sorry.
Yeah.
I looked over his inventory. Where's the blink? Where's the blink? Oh, I didn't see it.
Hey, you were just confused for a second. We will forgive you for that.
1,000 apologies.
he has picked up that and is
but
actually.
Then why isn't he, you know, roaming around doing his thing, doing Castaway things, killing things, making amazing plays?
I feel like they need to get some vision for him to be able to do this. At the moment, their vision is very much they have one ward sitting up in the top lane, but other than that,
2 wards, one towards the mid.
One towards the mid as well.
Impact have. Oh, he's done. Suddenly, Schlinks comes in, throws in the Walrus Punch, and sends his soul flying well above the map.
So you know they don't have many aggressive wards to be able to give that TA the vision so that she can run into the enemy jungle, just pick off a hero as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
And this is another good reason why Solo Crest is really good. Look how fast that Roshan goes down.
That's why you do it. It's a whole lot of minus armor, and you couple that with the Melt Strike and the Desolator of Castaway, and that makes for a very easy and quick Roshan. That means that Castaway is going to get even more aggressive, one would hope, with 2 lives in tow, and of course it helps with the net worth graph. Now sitting at 2,700 net worth in advantage at 20 minutes in. It's not exactly spectacular,
Yeah,
but you know, it's
I mean
fine. It's consolation.
They're doing fine. I mean the TA is sitting at highest net worth, which is exactly what you want. The Morphling is doing really well. Got his Lincolns, boots of travel, so he's now got his full rat gear up. In the form of the boots of travel, his replicant, and
yeah, I think that's the big problem is, take a look at the missing objectives. 1 tower down for the side of the Radiant. In the meantime, Dire is missing 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, they are beginning to run a little bit out of space, and there's also a lot of people that need the jungle here. So, it looks like we might have a little go on the top lane if WRG decide to stick around here.
They probably... No, I don't think they will. Chidawi, unless he's sticking around too long, he might. Mikasa going around. There's your Sven stun. It comes through. This guy isn't going to get the chance to say or speak anything before he goes down. Permanently stunned, permanently disabled. No need for a black hole. Although it would have been nice for a nice fat team fight if it was there.
Yeah, and I think Ian, I think they thought they were more than just the Doom. Having used the Sven's ulti, perhaps, a little bit of a waste. But meantime, WOG are just doing what they do best. It's got to take a T2 bottom for the kill in the Doom, which is definitely not the worst.
Ooh, nice little Sunstrike coming out. It's going to make him run. Quite rightly so. Rather not risk it. Towards the top lane. Not much is happening, I got to be honest.
Yeah,
It's Rat Dota. This is what we call Rat Dota.
Yeah, well, Rat Dota, for those that may be unaware, is whenever a team groups up and tries to do things, if the other team is able to split the opposing lanes and make sure that that team fight never actually takes place, that's when they say the rat is in full force, and that's exactly what we're seeing here, Wilson, in Whelp's Whelp's Morphling just being filthy disgusting with the amount of ratting that he's doing now, and almost has that Eagle song in the form, so it's going to be F-Blade sometime soon.
Lifted will be Whelp. He's going to throw out what he can. WRG Schlinks is going to go on in. They're going to find Impact. Impact is the first man down. Whelp just right-clicking him away. Mikasa now looking for a little bit of blood on Doom. He does get the true off, but it's not good enough. RDK, he's wailing upon his friends. Winter Wyvern, you glorious bastard. You turn their hopes against them. And Castaway is going to take away the kill on RDK after that betrayal of RDK onto his dear friend from Santo. That's the power of the Winter Wyvern, and that is exactly why they drafted him after the Sven. Turn their strengths against them.
Yeah, that's poor Mikasa just died in about 3 hits there. Just to an ulti Sven, that's not the hero that you want to be hitting him, especially.
Yeah, was it not exactly what Halberd predicted?
Yeah.
If you're a Sven and you're ultied, it doesn't matter what you're hitting. It's dead. You only need 2, 3, 4 hits at most.
And the Enigma just happened to. He didn't see a good place for a black hole, and his hesitation allowed the Doom to get the Doom off on him. And then he just melted, absolutely exploded to the amount of damage coming out of WRG. And if you're not going to be able to get those key teamfight abilities off, that's pretty much tickets for you. And then we saw how quickly they can just absolutely dismantle the side of Bravado Gaming once those spells don't get cast.
Do you feel that perhaps too much rides on 225's black hole here? Just too much. There's too much for him to catch in a black hole for it to be feasible.
I think positioning for Bravado Gaming is going to be paramount. I mean, they're absolutely, as you saw, if it's just a slightly less, less than perfect position, you're going to get absolutely steamrolled, because the Winter Wyvern, as soon as any of your heroes group up, there's a Sven near an enemy hero, he's going to get absolutely exploded by the Winter Wyvern ulti. So it's a really tough situation, not undoable for Bravado Gaming, but I think positioning is definitely key.
Yep, certainly. Mikasa chasing dragons, throwing out hooks that basically aren't there. Nobody's there except for down here, dear little Santo hiding away in a corner. He feels like he's been abandoned by his friend Morphling, who was there not moments ago. And does he have a way out? Yes, he does. He does have a TP if he so wishes.
Yeah, you don't have wards this time to put it on a tower, Santo. It's time to go home, and he does with that TP. He is surprisingly farmed. That Winter Wyvern has a Blink Dagger on him, so is going to be able to get that position in the team fight.
Yeah.
And it may be a cheap black hole, but when you have someone on that team that's dealing 1 million physical damage, it's a pretty good black hole at the end of the day, actually.
Well, so far it's been a more effective black hole than black hole in and of itself.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens, and if 225 can muster the black hole that we are dreaming about. Shidawi and the boys are just sitting here waiting for a kill that's not coming, by the looks of things, unless Soda. Soda, is he going to take a hike? No, he doesn't. He's going to put in some lane presence in the top tower just to make sure that tier 3 doesn't go down while his friends push on to the bottom.
Yeah, pretty much what we saw from last game, and that Soda's on base defense duty with the Invoker.
Go babysit your base.
Just throwing down EMPs, tornadoes, the rock, just to make sure that they buy as much time as they can to get these objectives. Wards have been put down for that T1. I'm not exactly sure that was the best choice.
Yeah, I see an E-Blade up and running on Morphling. This means he's going to do what we call, affectionately, the shotgun build.
Oh yeah, and it's called the shotgun build because you cock it twice and you put it in, basically, in the form of the ethereal blade into adaptive strike. I've just killed my co-caster once again, but the ethereal blade obviously makes the adaptive strike.
You're well pin us but trouble. Sorry, there's the black hole and the cheap man black hole to cancel it. RDK again, killing his friends. Santo doing a fantastic job of making sure 225 is not responsible for the death of Whelp. In the meantime, another stun comes out. Sven is going angry. He doesn't manage to get anything done as Whelp goes on in and helps himself to yet another head. And it's all dead and done. 10-6, 26 minutes in. What a fight.
Yeah, and what are they doing down there? Obviously just trying to do what they can, get what Castaway has found a treat on his way home in the form of a Mikasa, and interesting build coming out of Castaway. Mask of Madness into Diffusal Blade.
I've heard good things.
I mean, I'm not going to doubt it. He's doing good things, and obviously these are no longer unique attack modifiers, so is perfectly fine to have a Diff Blade and a Desolator, and this is going to be a set of racks here. Oh.
Yep, this is definitely a set of racks, if not two. There's the buybacks coming through. No black hole available on 225. Does not have a refresher orb as of yet. You can see he's got one queued up, but that's just about it. Impact very low. He's got to be careful. Oh, the shotgun almost killing him. Not quite the full combination of shotgun, but very damn close. RDK looking for a piece of blood? No? Okay, that's just about all they're going to get out of this.
Yeah, and it's going to be into the shrines, taking that away from them. and just getting as many objectives as they possibly can. I mean, that's a free set. That's a free set of racks essentially for the side of WRG, and they are suddenly in prime position to be able to just take this game in the next sort of 5 to 10 minutes if things continue going their
To
way.
give you an idea of just how fast that push was, that fight started down here in the bottom corner of the map.
Yeah.
And they went, wee, fun times. We're going to take a full set of racks before you guys can even come on back. And one of you bite back. That's going to be Mikasa's Pudge, who's still hooking away at creeps.
And I love this. Actually, I love this pickup from Chidawi. He's now got the Solar Crest and a Heaven's Hellbird. So not only is he tanky, but he can disable that Sven, an additional disable to the already quite ridiculous amounts of answers that they have to that Sven.
That's the benefits of the Ethereal Blade. You can use it offensively to basically do the shotgun that we described. But also it's useful as a defensive item against characters like a Sven that right-click really hard. It disables right-clicks, and there's your hook, but there's no real follow-up. 225 is here. He's 23 seconds away from his next black hole. And besides, it would have been very difficult to kill him, as he does have a replicate up and running.
Yeah, and Welp is just going to clear out this bottom lane. Unfortunately, the tower does go to Soda, so they do manage to get some kills, and
Rat-tastic.
we'll see if Welp decides to go back or just, yeah, he is going to go back up, join his team in the top lane. They instantly smoke, and it looks like they might be doing a little Rapparoony here into middle.
They're waiting for the side of BVD to make a mistake, and I think Mikasa knows. Look how far back they've positioned themselves. They have a very clear idea that here you do not stand.
Yeah, I mean, this is not an uncommon tactic, I would say, once you've taken sort of a set of racks to be able to then smoke, sneak in through where there's no towers or vision, and then be able to just utterly destroy them and take a surprise team fight inside their base.
Look how quickly the base is just melting away. Sorry, it's the reduction on armor plus the massive right-click damage from the Morphling, because he has skilled up 265 agility gain, so that's his primary attribute, contributes directly to his base damage. That is a world of damage that the side of BVD can't deal with at the moment.
And Welp just playing so carefully here. He wants to get the last 2 hits on that set of racks. And I'm not too surprised that they...
There's the Lincoln Sphere popped and immediately disappearing with the shotgun will be 225. He's going to have to buy back if he wants another piece of this fight. Doomed will be Sven. Dead will be Sven. And Chidawi's in there. Oh, another black hole cancelled by the cheaper black hole. And that is exactly what they've had to do with the buyback down. That's a dieback. It's almost over. The second lane of racks is done for sure here. Chidawi tanking the world though. RDK obviously did buy back and does want a piece of this, but Castaway is tearing him a new one. It's all done and dusted. Another lane of racks falls.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is game. They can almost instantly head down to bottom, take that tower if they so want to once they've whipped it out. It looks like Castaway, is he going shopping here in a fountain? It looks like it. He does have the recipe for the boots of travel.
Castaway,
and is doing just that.
Cheeky man.
As GG gets called, and unfortunately just a little bit lackluster I felt from Bravado. I felt like they had a really good draft heading into this game, but things just didn't work out for them in the end.
Yeah. I don't know. I really can't place the blame on any of them.
Yeah.
Certainly game 1 they put on a fantastic performance. They made me believe for a moment that WRG weren't quite as invincible as certainly they thought.
Yeah, I feel like this is... they show that the White Rabbit Gaming, you know, they definitely have a few weaknesses that can be exploited when the time is right. You know, they are by no means perfect, but Bravado Gaming, I'm not sure if it's a lack of communication or just a lack of cohesion within the team, but it felt like there was only 1 or 2 instances where they looked impressive as a side and looked like things were actually turning out for the best. Where for the most part, Bravado Gaming felt a little bit haphazard or a little bit. This is not the Bravado Gaming that I've seen in the past.
Certainly not the ones we saw in game 1. Just take a look at the graph and you'll see why.
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
Looks pretty one-sided for the most part. Net worth, much the same idea. Take a look at Chidawi's progression. Always sticking middle of the pack on a hero that, you know, wasn't doing all that well in the beginning.
And as I was saying to you during the draft, Doom is actually one of my heroes that I sort of enjoy this patch. His talent changes have been really good. And the fact that he, some of his early game spells have been buffed, it gives him a much better early game than he used to have. And the fact that he just went this utility build as well, going into the Talisman of Evasion, Solar Crest, Heaven's Hellbent, makes him so tanky and provides even more answers to the answers that they, to what they Bravado Gaming were bringing to the table. And that just snowballed out of control and got to the point that the Sven was just able to do nothing. He got kited and killed almost every team fight.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel that 225 had too much weight on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And all they had to do was say, Santo, your job is one job. You stay out of the fight. When you see that black hole blink in, take care of the black hole. Take care of 225 with your...
Oh, yeah. I mean, Santo would definitely be my my MVP for this game. And I wonder if the panel would agree with me, actually.
Yeah, let's find out. Albert and the boys, what do you say?
Thanks very much, guys. Well, the great thing about being a panel host is I didn't have to share my opinion. I'll leave the hard work to my dear analysts over here. So, gentlemen, who do you think was the MVP of that matchup?
Santo.
Santo.
Yeah, Santo.
I think we all agree Santo.
That wasn't very hard at all. Can't one of you disagree or something? I mean,
both games
just
he
for the
was-
sake of
yeah.
this.
Yeah, like that's like a flashy Santo game. That's like the one where it's like he's MVP because you can clearly see what he's doing there. It's just like perfectly waiting for the curse at the best time. There was a couple of times when it looked like it might have gone ugly with the black hole, but he's just on hand with the curse at the perfect time.
Yeah, even at the beginning of the game, in the laning phase, so we all expected that Enigma was going to have a much better time in the laning, but just the way Santo was doing it, most WW players that we see would just max out the blast and try to just clear through all the Eidolons. He then, I think, went for 2 points into Arctic Burn super early on, and whenever it was up, he went into lane, used it, and then left, giving all the space back to Warp to farm on his Morphling. It just made things so difficult for the Enigma to move around. And then once he gets 6, we just saw what he did. Like Prophecy said, it was just an outstanding WW game. You could not play a better Winter Wave than he did in this game.
I think Doom's items were actually really great as well. You saw Sven. He had the hardest time ever in fights. If he somehow is not disabled by or nerfed by Solar Crest and then Heaven's Halberd, right? Whoever he goes on, Winter Wave just shields him. And then like he just wasted all the time. For like you can say for 10 seconds he's non-existent, assuming Doom doesn't get caught and Raven doesn't get caught. But I mean they weren't. So yeah, you saw those fights. Sven was very difficult for him. I think.
I think one of the things before the game started, we were thinking, how is this draft from WG supposed to work? But in retrospect, I think it's clear that what they were trying to do was just deny BVD the opportunity to ever fight. Like it never felt like Bravado's draft could ever come together and do stuff because it's always either a hero or an item that WG prepared specifically to counter what you're trying to do. You try to jump in on heroes with your Sven ultimate, you either get Winter Wave ultimate or there's a jump in snowball, everyone survives. Sven gets like, Soda starts rising, starts getting a better time. RDK tries to get involved, he gets halberded, Soda gets doomed, can't do anything. 225 jumps in with the black hole, immediately Winter Wave and ultimate. It was so difficult for Bravado, it didn't feel like they could do anything, even though the game was actually close. Like, the game was not very far away, I think, from Bravado being able to win, especially in the first 20-something minutes. But when you can't play Dota, you can't actually win the game. And eventually, Morphling gets to that point where it's like, okay, now you can't kill the Morphling or the TA. And at that point, the game just seems basically impossible for PPD.
Right. Well, let's leave it at that for now. We will be back at, we'll be back at 3:45, and of course we'll have some more games for you at 4 p.m. So don't go too far away from your screens because it's going to get pretty interesting. We are reaching that time, the sort of business time of the event, and things count a little bit more now. So until then, take care. We'll see you soon.